And we are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicenda. I am Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP. I'm also going to tilt my audio up just a little bit. We're a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard, and skincare alchemy in the Bardic College of Content Creation. We do a lot of different things, but we are doing something special for the next couple months. We are launching our first ever ongoing actual play campaign. We are playing The Between. I almost said The Gauntlet, but we are playing The Between that is by Gauntlet Publishing, more specifically by Jason Cordova, who is our keeper this evening. Jason, how are you doing tonight?
I am very good. How are you tonight, Tony?
I'm doing well also, too. For folks who missed the first week, they're going to have to go back and watch the actual play to see what happened. But why don't you give us a little bit of an elevator pitch for what The Between is?
Yeah, The Between is a game about monster hunters in Victorian-era London. They're a group of people who live in this big mansion called Hargrave House, and they learn about monstrous threats throughout the city, which is both literal monsters, but as well as figurative monsters like serial killers. And they have to go and neutralize those threats. And they might get wrapped up in the scheming of a criminal mastermind who we did meet last time briefly. And so, yeah, that's what it's about.
Awesome. Let's whip around real quick and meet our other players and say hello to everybody. Then I'm going to hand things back over to you, Jason, to take us into the game. Let's start with our undeniable. Bina, why don't you say hello to the people? Tell them who you are.
Hello, hello, hello. For those of you who weren't here for the first one, I'm Narr. I'm playing Lord Bastion Grey, the Undeniable, and I am very, very excited to be here with our not new player, but like our very, very lovely Vyn. So
awesome. Well, then let's take it right over to Vyn. Actually, Vyn, let's stop with you because then we can hear maybe a little bit about your character also too. Wes, why don't you say hello next?
Hi, my name is Wes Franks. My pronouns are they and he. They is fantastic, he words. And I play the factotum, Langfisk, who you'll see soon and learn more about. But always there, always present, even when you don't think he is.
Awesome. And last but not least, in from the west or the east or somewhere in the U.S., we have the American Vyn. Why don't you say hello to everybody?
Oh my gosh, hi guys. I'm Vyn at Vyn Vox VA on Twitter. I'm a voice actor, tabletop performer, and I'll be playing Rick Miller, the American.
Awesome. So glad you could be here this week. So glad you are feeling better. Jason, I'm going to hand things just straight over you to take us into The Between.
Yeah, so I think what I would like to do is do a little bit of recap from last time, and then we will more formally introduce the American and give the Americans stuff for their personal quarters section of Hargrave House, and then we will dive right into our phases of play. So last time we got started on the game, we have one threat that's currently active. It is called the St. James's Street Ghost, and in this one, Hargrave House learns about from a tabloid. Essentially, they learn about a haunting that had a violent outcome in this townhouse on St. James's Street. And according to the story, there was a maid who died of fright, and there were some details in the story that convinced Hargrave House that this was a legitimate haunting, and because it's a monstrous threat, it is therefore something that they have to deal with. And so you have a couple of questions that you can potentially answer in your investigation. The first is, which part of the house is this ghost attached to? If you answer that question successfully, you actually get access to a new move called Old Bones. And the second question is, how can we get this ghost to pass on to the next world? That's the question that is going to let you actually take care of this ghost. If you answer it correctly, you can pursue the opportunity, which is to resolve the threat by performing a quieting ritual. You have 5 clues right now on this threat. You have all kinds of information, but you have 5 clues, which are important for mechanical purposes. I'm not going to run through them all yet, but we might revisit them once we try to answer one of the questions. The kind of summary of what happened last time, though, is that uh, Dr. Aspectum, our mother character, went to the mortuary to take a look at the maid's body. Her name is Jenny Hess. And Langfisk also, I believe, went to the mortuary, if I'm not mistaken. That's where they did their investigating. Lord Grey went over to St. James's Street, got waylaid by a one, I believe it was Patience Head. Um, was it Patience Head? It was one of the head character, Constance Head. Sorry, Constance Head waylaid Lord Grey, but did give Lord Grey some information about her neighbors over at 18 St. James's Street, which is the haunted house. That's the home of the Beals. Um, Later on that night, well, we had a couple of things that happened even before then. Lord Grey got injured because the ghost started tormenting Lord Grey while he was at the Beals' home. Langfist came to the rescue. Later on that night, we got to see Dr. Aspectum working on his little secret experiment in the clock tower that is atop Hargrave House. We also got to see we learned that the ghost can actually possess people and move beyond the confines of 18 St. James's Street because it possessed one of Langfisk's associates, a governess called Miss Velma Fenwicket, and came and attacked Hargrave House. Now, speaking of Velma Fenwicket, that is something you have in play right now, Langfisk. You have installed Miss Fenwicket as the governess of the Beals family. And I think by the time we pick up the story today, a few days will have passed. So Velma will have had time to kind of ingratiate herself with the family and kind of work her way into the family. So anytime you go and follow up on that and she helps you with something, you get advantage on your die rolls whenever she helps you with her, either her information or or you go there and you investigate with her by your side or whatever. And so that's sort of where things stand with the St. James's Street ghost. We learned a lot about the characters as well, but in terms of just the active threats, that's sort of where things are at. We also do have a mastermind clue. Mastermind clues are collected throughout the campaign, and whenever you have collected a certain number of them, that triggers the confrontation with the mastermind, which is the big bad of the campaign. We don't know this character's name yet, but we know that she is a woman who dresses in sapphire blue, and she is watching Hargrave House. Lord Grey has met her briefly, and out of character, we saw her clearly sort of incorporating Hargrave House into whatever scheme she's coming up with, and 18 St. James's Street. And so, with all that said, I think we should go ahead and introduce this brand new character. Now, I should point out that Rick Miller, even though you're joining us today, it is assumed that you have been living in Hargrave House. You're not like brand new to the characters. You all know each other, but you are brand new to us. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to read the flavor text that's at the top of the American playbook, and then you can give us some basics, their look, their vice, things like that. Try to keep the amount of information you share pretty small because we're not meant to know much about these characters. They're supposed to remain mysterious, even out of character. Save your big reveals, such as they are, for later on. And after the introduction, the rest of us are going to say something that we think can be found in your section of Hargrave House based off everything we know. And then you'll note that in your personal quarters. I will note here that because you took the fastest gun in the West move, you already have something in your personal quarters, which is your 1851 Colt Navy revolver, your trusty gun, which you're very, very good with. But we're going to add more. So let's talk about the American. You grew up in a big city on the eastern seaboard of the United States, the scion of a prominent family, but you detested that life, the formality, the pretension, the venomous hypocrisy, and so you went west. You had adventures, got good with a gun, even joined a traveling show for a time. But then came the curse, and everything changed. You did your best to control it, and some nights were definitely worse than others. But eventually it got to be too much. Even your days were affected by the changes within you. Your behavior became reckless and unpredictable, and then you had to run far away. In the end, it was London calling, a thick, throbbing mass of humanity within which to lose yourself, the whole world and all its lovely pleasures right within your grasp. But the curse has found you, like it always does. Hopefully, these new folks, these hunters you've thrown in with, can help you for good, permanent like, when the time comes. And so, Vyn, please give us just the basics, name, look, vice of your American.
Totally. Like from before, Rick Miller. We have split lower lip, shoulder length hair with beads woven in, and cheeks that are always smudged, but I couldn't find anything to smudge with. I'll be better with my costuming next week. And my vice is opium.
Between opium and cocaine and what are the other vices? Opium, cocaine, gambling.
Don't worry, I took
sports
coffee
betting,
as a
betting
really
shops.
I got into the hard stuff. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's good. Fantastic. Okay, so we don't know too much about Rick Miller yet, but we know some things. And so everyone at this point, if you have a thought on what might be found in Rick Miller's section of Hargrave House, please say so.
I am ceding my choice to voicing for the chat. So if somebody else wants to hop in first,
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, actually, I can do that since I'm the keeper. If you want,
I
Tony,
quit.
unless you just don't want to think of anything.
Can we get some insight, not on backstory, but a little bit of insight onto like what kind of rootin' tootin' is Rick?
Yeah.
I mean, be rootin', be tootin', but most importantly, be kind. It's very laid back and easygoing for the most part. But also no nonsense. You know, that line.
Oh my god. You know, I think Signal Station actually said something that I kind of had in mind as well. They said a genuine set of jackalope antlers, and I think you actually have those mounted on like a little you've seen like those little wooden plates. Yeah, you have like it as a
Mhm.
decoration.
Gotcha. Mounted jackalope lanterns. Oh, jackalope antlers. Jesus.
I'm going to say that you collect bottles and for like shooting practice, for target practice, and you just have like a
Mhm.
bunch of like old bottles and stuff like piled up in your room somewhere.
I love that.
Before Wes
Shooting
goes, I'll shout
bottles.
some out from the chat to let you think about it and then decide. A lucky gold coin, its origins unknown. A single bullet with a name scratched in it. A perfume bottle filled with essence of monkshod. An engraved lighter with a brass glow. An oversized belt buckle with a secret compartment. Or a letter from an unknown source that is wax sealed with a golden sun.
Those are all bitchin'. I think I'm gonna go with the belt buckle with the secret compartment.
have
That
to.
feels really good.
I'm gonna give you a pair of chaps with, instead of fringes, it has a collection of odd animal bones sewn in like the seams.
Yes.
May or may not include possum penises as well, but you know, you could have the idea of just odd animal bones sewn in the sides.
By which you mean there's a patch of possum penises that came on the side that was optional to include or not.
Listen, I paid more for the penises. Don't worry.
Fantastic. All right. So if you're happy with all that, Rick, we will continue. So I do think it's been a couple of days since the events of last session. we are going to swing right into a new day phase. If you haven't done so already, please take a look at your dawn questions, and if you want to change your 2 elective dawn questions, you can do that. The dawn questions are how you get experience points at the end, and so take a look at that, make some decisions there, think about it. At the start of the day phase, I have to introduce a brand new threat if there are less than 3 active threats, and there are currently less than 3 active threats, so I'm going to do that now. I have put all this information in the character keeper for the players. If you want to follow along, it's in the threats tab. Our new threat is called the Limehouse Lurker. Let's talk about the Limehouse Lurker. Jenny Johnston, the proprietor of an opium den in Limehouse, tells you a story that has not yet reached Scotland Yard or the papers. So she came to Hargrave House and told you this. 3 people have been found dead in recent days, the bodies completely exsanguinated. The first was a sex worker called Soft Jimmy. He was actually found in the opium den. The second victim was a young mother, a one Charla Bell, found in an alleyway behind the Limehouse School in Limehouse, which is actually a workhouse for children. And the third was a Chinese sailor, Zhao Donghai, found outside a pub near the Regent's Canal dock, the Dog and Whistle. All of these are in Limehouse. Jenny, an informal community leader in Limehouse, has been keeping the bodies in her basement. She's hesitant to go to the authorities because she fears it will cause trouble for the small but thriving Chinese immigrant community in the district. She heard that Hargrave House has experience with matters such as this and has asked for your help. I am going to pose the following question to whoever among you has the highest reason score. And a quick glimpse of the character keeper tells me it is definitely not Bastion Gray, who has a reason of -1. Looks like it's a tie between Dr. Aspectum and Langfisk. I'm going to go with... I don't remember who answered the question last time, but I'm going to go with Langfisk. Langfisk. Hargrave House knows about creatures that drink the blood of their victims. They're called vampires. A detail in Jenny's story convinces you this particular vampire has the body of a small child. What is it?
Oh. There have been signs of small hand and footprints at the scenes of like small bloody hands and footprints the size of a child.
Interesting, interesting. So it sounds like you all have a diminutive vampire on your hands. Now, the vampire is physically a child, but that doesn't mean it's young. Vampires, of course, never physically age beyond how old they were when they were turned. And an old vampire has to be handled in a very different way from a young vampire. And so that's your initial question you have to answer in this investigation. Is the vampire young or old? And it's a complexity 4. And once you answer the question, it unlocks the next question depending upon what the answer is. You also have an aspect of the Janus mask here called the Mask of the Sun, which we'll talk about more if you decide to use it. And so with the day phase, I'm going to go around and ask what everyone's interested in doing in order to get scenes set up. But I also want to talk about the vulnerable move at this point. We didn't get to do it last time because you don't normally do it in session 1 of the Between, but you might do it in session 2. You all collected conditions, different things that happened to you, negative status effects last time. And one of the best ways to clear those conditions is to do what's called the vulnerable move. The vulnerable move triggers when you and one other hunter have an intimate scene where one of you is doing your vice. So one of you is doing your vice and you're both having this intimate scene together. And in the role play, if you can clear the condition based off what happens in the scene, then you do. you get to clear a condition, but also you get to stumble on a clue. And so you can get a little bit of like free investigation as well for either of the active threads. And so that's something you might do, especially if you have some conditions already. Other things you might do, you might try to frame up some scenes that will help you answer one of those dawn questions positively. You can obviously go do the investigations. You have lots of follow-up at St. James's Street. You never really search the house, for example, so that's a thing that can be done. But also, you have 3 really good leads actually 4 really good leads, truly, for Limehouse Lurker. You've got the bodies, and then you've got all the places where the bodies were found. So those are all different things, but you got 2 problems in the city now that Hargrave House has to cope with. Fortunately, you have one more person here to help you out with those problems. So I think I want to go around the table and find out what everyone's interested in doing, and then we'll figure out what those scenes look like. So if we take a look at our characters here, I'm going to start with, I'm going to go in reverse order here. Lord Grey, you have a couple of conditions between the Sapphire and Drained. So I don't know if you're interested in doing a vulnerable move scene, but if you are, let me know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're going to do a vulnerable move here. I love the Sapphire, but Drained is a little draining.
Problematic, yeah. The only other character with a condition who can benefit from the move in that way is Langfisk, but you can do it with any character. What do you want to try to set up a scene with Langfisk or someone else?
Whoever. I am down for whoever, honestly.
Fantastic.
Godspeed to everyone.
Dr. Spectum, what do you want to do today? We cannot hear you.
Bodies, you say? I would
yes,
like to.
Bodies.
I would like to go look at the bodies, please.
Fantastic. We love that. Langfisk, what do you think?
What does my lord request of me to do is the question. I think it pertinent and important for us to go and investigate more into St. James Street. But if my lord would prefer me to do something else, then I understand.
Damn you, Wes, actually making me make decisions for you. Let's see what Vyn wants to do. Let's see what Rick's up to. Then we'll decide what Langfisk needs to be told to go do.
That was disgusting, by the way. I do want to get started on the new mystery, going to the Opium Den and investigating there, if that's cool.
Yeah, if you and Nox want to go at the same time, I think that's great. Yeah. So then, Lord Grey, who are you going to try to have this vulnerable
Well, then it
move
sounds
with?
like Langfisk and I are hanging out then.
Sounds good. Whose vice is being done right now?
Well, that depends on what Langfisk was doing with his day. Do I know about your betting hobby?
Well, that's personal things, so unless you've ever asked to go with me on my personal outings, then no.
There's absolutely no way I have.
Yes, so you do not know about my betting shops. I can take, if you want to go out, we can take you out, but then I can absolutely take you and get you involved. But there would be no reason for you to know what I do in my free time.
Let's save that then. Let's save that. We can you're welcome to indulge in mine with me.
Excellent.
Wes, why don't you frame up the scene? What's going on?
I think it's the morning after the whole thing with Thin Wicket. Langfist did not sleep much the night previous.
It's actually a couple days after. So
a couple days after.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. So it's already been cleaned up and everything. The room's been cleaned up. There's already been a new window installed in the room and everything. I think we see there is we see Lord Bastion Grey standing in front of a mirror, one of those like a traveling wardrobe that has a platform to stand upon with 3 mirrors. And we see Langfisk is doing some personal hemming upon what Lord Bastion Grey is wearing. So also like doing some showcases, like you see the frilly the frilly wrists and everything, but showcasing different colors that we can make different attachments to. I think we see also Langfisk draping upon a coat, putting it through the arms, and then adjusting it, and then slowly taking the fingers and the thumbs and sliding the fabric down the traps, those muscles, and making sure that it hangs perfectly, framing the back, and then just holding up the different fabrics to like the neckline, and is close but not close enough, and just hears, "What do you think about this, my lord? Is this a good color for you, or would you prefer something a bit more earthy for London?"
Let's try something flashier, actually. I think earthy's out, you know? Would you would you like to indulge with me just a little bit? I have some extra.
Would you wish for me to indulge with you, my lord?
Of course, my friend. It's always more fun when someone else is indulging with you, isn't it?
Agreed, my lord. May I?
Of course. And he hands you this bottle of 100% not regular wine. This is cocaine wine, as the Victorians are wont to do. It's in everything.
Yes, Langfisk is going to go ahead and take it, and then expertly swirling the bottle around like a sommelier, is going to take a rag, and then as well with a corkscrew, and turn a couple of times upon the corkscrew, pull expertly, and then let it sit and breathe. Pour it into a decanter, even though it's cocaine wine, and yeah, not letting it's not going to like sieve out any of the sediment or anything, but it's going to swirl it around the decanter, and then it's going to pour, and then give the eyes of say Wyn is pouring it into a glass.
And instead of actually using his words, he just puts his hand on the glass when it is maybe a little too full. And if you let him, he'll do the exact same for yours.
There is some hesitation, but will of course allow you to handle a decanter if that is what you wish.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Just to prove he can.
Perfect. How are you feeling after the evening passed?
That was you know I like excitement, but that was a little too much for my taste. But I'm fine now, I think. I'm a little more rested, and I think this might help. How are you feeling? I have never seen someone climb a building so quickly.
As a boy, down in the outback, some time climbing gum trees. So quite a bit. It's not as sparse a desert as people believe. Quite a few, and so yeah, hop around a little bit. That was a bit of a cheeky one.
I can tell. I'm glad you kept that. It's more interesting.
Might I? What comes next, my lord? After all this work for Hargrave House, is where do you see me fit into your design?
What do you mean, Langfisk? Do you think I'm going to just toss you out on the street when we don't have work to do here?
I would never deign to believe it so much. I would not believe for you to think that there's something so careless just to toss someone about like that. No, I like a plan. I'm really good with plans, especially writing letters.
Interesting. I didn't know you could do that so well. You'll have to show me sometime your proficiency with letters. If you write poetry or anything, I do love the arts.
No, I was never been so much one with words. I'm very plain, direct to the point. I can pin about anything you need. If you need to draft something to an order to someone, or maybe an editorial for a newspaper column, a request of inventory. I'm good with my numbers as well.
You're direct, Langfisk, but you are far from plain.
I'm going to step in here. I'm going to go over to the other scenes, but I do want to check in on the move really briefly. So the vulnerable move says when you have this moment, which you have, you can each clear an appropriate condition if you think you have. So think about what that might be. And then because it's your vice, Lord Grey, you can either stumble on a clue or you can invite the other hunter to ask you a question about your past, which you must answer truthfully, but not necessarily completely. So here's one of those rare opportunities to talk about your past if the question gets asked. Or you can find a clue. The choice is yours. Now, while you all were having your scene, I checked in with chat and suggested that if you go with the clue option, maybe they have some clue options for you in the chat. And so don't let that pressure your decision on which you're going to choose, but think about it. I'm going to check in with the other scene. So Dr. Aspectum and Rick, who I should not be calling Rick, I should be calling you Mr. Miller, because that's how we do in this game. Mr. Miller and Dr. Aspectum, I think we're going to just fast forward to the Opium Den. We'll have you two can have a scene together, but it's after you've arrived at the Opium Den, I'm going to say. And I want to talk about this Opium Den, this business that Jenny Johnston runs. It's the middle of the day, but when you step inside, it becomes very, very dark. You go from the bright daylight of outside to a space that is dim and smoky. There is a very heavy ammonia-like smell in the air. Mr. Miller, of course, you'll be very familiar with that ammonia-like smell because that is the smell of burning opium. There are people lounging on cushions, partaking of the poppy. I would like to paint the scene here, everyone. People from all walks of life patronize Jenny Johnston's. All social classes come together in this place. What do we see that shows that?
You can see that there is a dock worker that is clearly in a political debate with a member of the House of Lords. And both have no idea how politics actually work.
You see two gentlemen coming out from a side kind of curtained off area who are completely unaware that they, in the kind of the heat of the room, had taken off their jackets and have switched jackets with each other as they have put them back on. One very dressed up, and the other one a very kind of ill-fitting tight jacket that they just have not noticed in their haze.
I think we see a very finely dressed young woman doing the hair of someone else, like you know how you have fixing someone's hair like you would in a bathroom at a club. Someone who does not have all of the sort of the jewelry and the various accoutrements she has, but she's trying to make their hair kind of match hers.
In sort of an echo, the coats that are hanging, you could just tell there's a pattern from the cast, from the material, finery, and then the lack thereof.
So that's the scene, Dr. Spectum and Rick. I will say, Dr. Spectum, Jenny Johnston will come find you eventually because she expects Hargrave House today. But otherwise, let's just have the scene with the two of you. What do you get up to?
What are we here for again?
Are you asking in character or out of character?
In character.
Oh, sorry.
Rick, what are we here for again?
We're investigating, you know, the murders that the thing that happened when people die.
But what's this one's name again?
Oh God. Oh, You were asking the right person. I definitely remember. Don't tell me. Don't. No, I don't.
All right.
Er,
Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. And I like go over to someone who like is who seems present, right, to the moment, and I say, "Do you know where the bodies are?"
Hey, I don't think that. No, we're looking for Jenny. Is she in?
You're
Would it-
probably
would-
just talking to some like completely like out of it opium smoker, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, but I'm sure there are attendants though. Jenny will get you'll get Jenny's attention. Jenny approaches you quickly. She is she has a very like I would say she has a very soothing disposition, which probably helps in her line of work, and also because she is a community leader. She's very pretty but faded with age, and she's wearing a dark taffeta gown. Um, as she approaches you, she gives a couple of like quick orders to a couple of the people who work for her, probably all family members. And she then approaches and she says, "Ah, Dr. Spectum, Mr. Miller, is it? Thank you so much for coming. And then she gets really quiet. I would love for you to come investigate that little matter down in the basement."
Knox is fine, and yeah, that's where the body is.
That is where the 3 special parcels that I have waiting on you can be found.
Then lead the way, ma'am. We'll investigate the parcels.
She will take you down. She'll kind of go in that direction. I will say, as you're walking off, maybe Dr. Spectum's in the lead. Mr. Miller, your eye will get caught by one of the patrons. One of the patrons has what appears to be a little private cubicle in the opium den that can be separated off with a screen, but the screen is presently open. And the reason why this person catches your eye, I would say, is because they are dressed in a long, elegant, very rich looking yellow dressing gown, like a robe. And perhaps most strikingly, they are wearing a mask over their face shaped like the sun. And they have just a little tiny hole in the mask where they can put the opium pipe and puff away. And they even like get your attention, or when they see that they have your attention, they sort of give you a little wave. What do you do, Mr. Miller?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'll amble over, say hello. Doesn't help
Dr.
to be friendly.
Spectum. Yeah, Dr. Spectum, you're going down to the bodies. Mr. Miller's going to go talk to this strange individual wearing a sun-shaped mask. I do want to check in with Langfisk and Lord Grey briefly. What do we do on conditions with that vulnerable move?
I am getting rid of drained.
Feeling better after
Yes.
a little refresh, are we?
Cocaine does
Uh,
wonders.
Yeah,
Not
it's
as
a hell of a
infuriated
drug.
as well.
Um,
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Langfisk, are you going to clear one?
Yeah, infuriated. I think some quality time. Being able to indulge a little bit. Langfisk is like, oof, it's been a
You probably
while.
also got some like morning like reports from Miss Fenwicket, right? You know, a little in the morning mail, which is almost certainly got to be putting things at ease. At least she's keeping an eye on 18 St. James's Street if no one else is. Fantastic. What about this clue or the invitation to ask a question from the past? What do you think, Lord Grey?
Clue time. The chat had too many cool ones.
Okay. Do you want one of theirs? Or do you want to come up with one of your own?
I liked the chats, and I'm gonna Uno reverse it on Langfisk. Did you see one that you found interesting?
Dang. Yeah, I saw a bunch of them. I was
They're
thinking
all
about
so
betting
good.
habits though. So, let's see.
We can talk about that later,
Uh,
Langfisk.
I want to throw some love to Jackie OMFG because Jackie had a great item last session, but I went with a different item. So I'm going to go with this crimson lacquered puzzle box because
Oh, that's
I love a
interesting.
good puzzle box. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is interesting. So I love it. I think I need to know why that would catch your attention and indeed give it meaning for one of the presumably Limehouse Lurker, but for one of the threats.
Who? What if? And this might be fun because tie it into Velma Thinwicket.
What if she sent it to you
Uh,
or something?
yeah, it's from one of the children's rooms, but
Oh.
it did not belong to the children. It's one of those things like I found it in the children's rooms, but
Oh, nobody knows where it came from. Oh, that's
nobody knows where
interesting.
it came from.
That's
Oh,
good.
I like it. Okay, so then it's a St. James's Street clue. Fantastic.
Mhm.
Okay, wonderful. Be thinking about what you like to do after this for the rest of the day. I'm going to go check in at the Opium Den. Dr. Spectum, Jenny Johnston will take you down into her basement where you do see crates and casks of ale and things that she might have for people who are not smoking opium, foodstuffs, that sort of thing, and also 3 objects wrapped in tarps. You know a body, and there are 3. They're just stacked on each other. She says, "Here we are. I do hope that you remember my request from earlier that I would love for this to not go beyond the Opium Den. I don't want people to know about these killings because I don't want to cause any trouble for the people in this district."
I don't have to tell anyone. Have you studied the surgical arts, by the way?
She says, "I can do some basic wound dressing, but that's the extent of my medical knowledge."
Just the moving them down into the basement just to get them into that cooler temperature was an incredibly resilient and smart move.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Spectum. That means a lot to me coming from a professional like you.
Of course, of course. Would you like to watch the door while I examine them, or would you like to participate?
No one will come down. I'll leave you here with the lantern. And she leaves the lantern and she says, "I have to get back to my customers." And she says, "Where did Mr. Miller go?" And she's going up the stairs, wondering where Mr. Miller went. We will check in on Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, this individual wearing the sun-shaped mask, smoking a long opium pipe, waves you over. Sounds like you ambled over to where he's at. He says, "Good afternoon. Or is it evening time? I have such a difficult time keeping track of the movements of the sun in here."
Well, I found that a little ironic given your guard, but it is still quite the afternoon.
Ah, splendid. Please, sit. You have the look of someone who partakes.
I would. That would be awfully kind, but I am on business.
And since he's posed the question, Mr. Miller, what do you look like right now?
Everyday gear, shirt, hat, beads. Not particularly professional or fancy, just that kind of casual.
Yeah. He says, "I can tell from your accent that you're American. How perfectly delightful. How do you
Oh, I
find
gave it
things
away.
here in our little foggy town?"
It's certainly bustling, busy. Oh, real complaints.
A swarming
Fun
mass of humanity.
every corner.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
you can say that.
He offers you the pipe. Do you partake?
I think they take it, and then spin it right back around like a knife trick.
He gives a little chuckle. He finds that quite amusing. And then he kind of leans back and says, "So, you might be wondering why I'm here in disguise. I'm quite certain you wouldn't
That
know
might be.
anything about that. Being in disguise, that is."
I think that's a very interesting choice of words. Are you hitting at something, sir?
No, my apologies. I don't mean to probe too deeply where I'm not wanted. But I do think that most people are hiding something. I just wear my duplicity, my obfuscation out in the open. Of course, I have to wear this mask because I am a very, very highly placed member of the royal family, and it wouldn't do for people to see me in an establishment like this, you see.
Then my lips are sealed.
Splendid, splendid. So, if you're not partaking, and there are certainly less dingy and complicated places in the city to be and spend one's time, what are you doing here right now?
Well, I did say business. I was with the good doctor a second ago. Then you caught my eye. So you really are impeding on something really important, but you are royalty, as you say, then you have my time.
No. The royalty thing was just a little bit of a fib. I'm actually a famous artist, and people would recognize me immediately if I didn't wear this mask everywhere I go. Even though you can't see his face, you know he's smiling somehow.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
I think he gets real close, like brings in and kind of takes a finger and skims it across the details of the mask. I think I can see artists there. Centric as shit.
Do you have an interest in celestial bodies?
I take my chances with normal bodies.
I, of course, mean the heavens. There's certainly no double entendres or hidden meanings in my words. I speak of worlds, I speak of stars. You know, of course, that there is a world beyond this world. It's a little bit like our own world. It is, in fact, our world, but impossibly ancient. It's a world where the sun is new, and where old spirits and old gods play and make war on each other. I have seen this world with all my eyes. It is magnificent and terrible and bloody, and every other awful, wonderful thing one can imagine. How does that make you feel, sir?
It makes me feel like you and that pipe are really acquainted.
How do you feel?
A little creeped out. Just that. Ugh.
Take that as a
Words make
condition.
skin crawl.
Yeah, take creeped out as a condition for now. And I want to check back in with Langfisk and Lord Grey. So where are you headed? You two splitting up, going somewhere? Going to go back to St. James's Street, somewhere else? What do you think?
Well,
I
that's up
got-
to you, my lord.
Well, I think
You
we are
should be
get-
surprised by now, B.
I'm not surprised by now, scoundrel. But I think we're getting really close to answering a question for St. James's Street, maybe both of them. And so if there's another place to go investigate that, or or if it's not intruding on Rick and the good doctor, going and looking at where one of those bodies were, not the actual opium den itself, but like
Yeah, you've got loads of leads on Limehouse Lurker because there's the body that was found by the school, the body that was found at the pub. There's those are the locations. Then, of course, Dr. Spectum's got the bodies themselves covered. You have not actually searched the house, 18 St. James's Street, much yet. That is something that is still a thing. But we didn't get very far because Lord Grey, you smashed your fist into a mirror.
Yeah, so. You know what? I wonder if they'll let me back in.
I have a feeling anybody would let you back in, Lord Grey.
I think we're going to try to get back into that house. See, I didn't know if they would just bar me from it because I smashed their window.
Any objections, Langfisk?
No, not at all. Of course, Langfisk would understand exactly how to get us inside that house if you would permit me, my lord.
Oh, please do. I love to see you work.
Let's fast forward to that. What do you have in mind, Langfisk?
What do you have in mind?
Langfisk, who has a new jacket after ripping the other one into strips and everything, has helped Lord Bastion Grey out of the carriage, the handsome carriage, and has an umbrella up above, only moving it momentarily to move up the steps and knock on the door 3 pert knocks and then step back.
This is at the front door?
Yeah.
They still don't have a housemaid, and Irma Thicket is not answering doors anymore. But your agent, the governess, your associate from the Hargrave House Informals, Miss Thenwicket, does answer. She is looking very stern, like governesses do, and she answers the door and she says, Mr. Langfisk. She's the only one who calls you Mr., incidentally. I'm just helping young Roger with his studies. It's a very, very difficult time right now.
Of course. The Lord Bastion Grey would prefer and appreciate being allowed to speak to the heads of the household. An apology for the incident the other day.
Yes, that has been the talk of the household for the last few days. Lord Grey, I do hope your hand is doing better.
Perfectly fine. Thank you, dear. I really appreciate it.
Please come in. And she lets you in. And she says, as the police roll by, she lets you in and she says, with a wink, Langfisk, she says, I will go and let the Beals know you're here. Please have a look around if you wish. And then she goes upstairs, basically giving you free run of the place.
Lord Bastion, Lord Grey, pardon. If you would prefer, you can wait up here. I'm going to check downstairs. It's not a place for one such as yourself.
Thank you, Langfisk. I didn't want to do that. I was dreading going down there. And I really have to say, you do have a way with your associates.
Everything is business, and business is good nowadays.
Dr. Spectum, you got 3 bodies here. I don't think it's necessary to like do moves on all 3 bodies. If you just want to pick one.
You don't want to give me 6 clues, right?
6 beneath the skins. You can But assuming you're doing beneath the skin, that's what I gather.
Yeah.
Since you made a beeline to the bodies, who do you want to start with? The young mother, the soft Jimmy, or the sailor?
Let's start with the sailor was found in the bar.
Yeah.
Let's start with the sailor.
Okay. You get to ask 2 questions from your list. Which do you ask?
I think I am going to ask, how did this person die?
Okay. I'll answer with a clue whenever I do.
And can I take a body part for the child without anyone seeing?
The answer to that one is yes. No one will see you. Well, there's no one down in the basement as best you can tell. But you thought maybe you heard breathing coming from the dark rafters up above, but it was probably just the wind.
Yeah.
Blowing
Absolutely.
through the basement.
These drafty old buildings. Langfist still hasn't picked that window that got broken a few nights ago. Who knows? Who knows how it happened?
But the answer is yes. You can take a body without anyone noticing. So what do you do? Are you going to take a body in addition to your?
I am.
Or take a part? Yeah.
Tell me how they died, and then I'll let you know the body part and do a.
Indeed. I'll give you that clue, and then we'll kind of start to think about our first break. So you're checking over Zhao Donghai's body, and per the move, I have to say. So the question is how did this person die? Okay, so my clue has to sort of implicate that a little bit, or it should.
I know we're doing a full actual play, so people get to see this a lot. But I also know that you've talked a little bit about how you adapt clues.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to drop a little keeper wisdom while you're going,
sure.
That's certainly appreciated for our viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would probably do in this case is I would just say very simply how the character died without getting that would not be the clue. So I would answer the question, well, the way they died is they were exsanguinated. That was probably the most direct cause of death. The body is quite pale and hard and waxy because it has no blood in it or very little blood left in it. But it does look like Zhao Donghai's calf muscles were damaged, perhaps with a knife or something sharp, so that he could be dropped down to size for this small vampire. Now, we haven't talked much, Dr. Spectum, about whether you personally think it's a vampire, even if Hargrave House believes it's a vampire, even if out of character
not.
we know it's a vampire. But it's certainly very interesting, medically speaking, for the body to be found with no blood. But no, Zhao Donghai was definitely like injured on his leg so that this creature could do its work. I do have to give you a clue as well, though. And so what I'm going to say is I'm looking at my clues, and what I'm really trying to think of here, since we're doing a kind of behind the curtain thing, I'm trying to find clues that even if they don't necessarily directly connect to how he died, I've already answered that question. They might be something that you could find nearby. Maybe you find in the tarp wrapped up with the body. Maybe Zhao Donghai was clutching something in his hand when he died. And I think that's where I'm going with this. Zhao Donghai, you peel back his fingers and see that he has pieces of candy in his hand, like he was either offering it or had it or was given it. It's unclear, but it's a really unusual detail that he rigor mortised his hand around this candy and even crushed it a little bit, presumably his muscle reactions from being attacked. And so to go back to the question of how did he die, it seems like maybe it was unexpected. He did not anticipate violence. You know.
Excellent.
But that's your clue if you want to note that down.
The cabs are ruined, so I'm not taking those.
Yeah, don't worry for the legs. Yeah, legs are no good unless you want a child that's just stumbling and bumbling around. I'm going to check in with Mr. Miller one last time, and then we'll take our first break. I can tell that I have unnerved you a little bit. I certainly don't mean to put you at ill ease. I'm actually quite skilled at negotiating people's emotions. You see, I'm actually a very highly placed diplomat from Europe. That's why I have to wear this mask, so that people don't recognize me and spread scurrilous rumors about my habits in the halls of power. I don't know where Rick is, but with that, we'll take a 5-minute break here, maybe, while we get Vyn back.
Perfect. Let's take a short little break. We're going to get up, move around, stretch our bodies, rehydrate, dehydrate, and be back in about 5 minutes to keep on playing The Between. Also, chat out there, it is Pi Day, so go ahead and let us know how you're celebrating. If you are celebrating, and if you're not celebrating, how you wish you were celebrating. And we are live again here on Plus One EXP playing The Between, episode 2 of our full campaign of The Between. We have a couple cases open, and we're going to dive back in.
I think I want to have just another, maybe a couple more scenes, and then we'll start transitioning to the Dusk phase. Rick, Mr. Miller, The man in the sun mask, he does say, you know, I do see things here. I spend so much time here. I might even know what happened to poor soft Jimmy. I can be persuaded to tell you what I know, if you make it worth my while.
And how exactly do I do that?
You seem as if you are rather skilled with that shooting iron on your waist. Show me a trick.
I mean, you didn't have to say it like that, but sure.
Do
Just
you?
as easy as blinking. Has it? Hmm?
Yeah, what do you do?
I'm sorry, I don't know gun tricks. I should have Googled before I started. But just a good twirl, a toss up, maybe catch it and then aim it right in his little sunshine face.
He says, well, I can't tell if you've shown me an extraordinary display of dexterity or if you're threatening me, but in either case, I'm feeling convinced. Let's roll, though. I would like for you to roll the information move with presence, and if now, so your item, the Colt revolver, you can use that to get advantage, and because it's part of your move, fastest gun in the West, you don't have to mark it. So if you want to roll with advantage, you can certainly do that too. 3d6 and take the two highest.
I will, because I have no presence.
Well, you got one. It's not nothing.
That is going to be an 8.
Fantastic.
Oh, wow. I was on the wrong sheet. Yeah, a 9 then.
I'll come back to this in a moment. Let's check in with Langfisk. You said you were going downstairs to where the kitchen and the servants' quarters and stuff are?
Yes. Cover a wider berth that Lord Grey won't have to experience whatsoever.
You know, the last time you were here, you got a faint whiff of it, a strong or a whiff of tobacco and onion. You weren't able to really focus on that much because you were busy trying to prevent Lord Grey from bleeding out. But as you go downstairs now, you can really smell that strong smell of onion and tobacco. And you will hear the cook, Irma Thicket, preparing the evening's meal. Let's paint the scene, everyone. The basement of the townhouse contains the kitchen and the servants' quarters. What evidence do we see that shows how, historically, the servants of 18 St. James's Street have protected themselves from the ghost?
I think there's a hand-hewn cross.
The
up on
entire
wall.
room is lined with. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead. We started at the same time.
Really did. I was just gonna say there's salt like around the entire base of the kitchens.
That's fine. And I think we pan up from the salt line to see a hand-hewn cross on the wall.
We see a set of broken rosaries and like little reliquaries tucked away along the window frame as you come down.
Though there's no wind in here, there are like cold iron wind chimes hanging throughout.
Langfisk, what do you do?
Langfisk is just going to start like he belongs, start looking around and poking around, checking through ingredients, looking and seeing maybe what's cooking, what's the source of the onion and tobacco smell, that kind of thing. Not a care in the world.
I think because Miss Fenwicket, or the governess, Mrs. Fenwicket, because she gave you access to the house and has maybe even like made the other servants, well, it's just Irma, maybe like prepared them for your possible arrival, like here at the house to help out with the ghost. I'm going to let you have an advantage because that's what your move does. This information move roll. It's going to be with reason, and yeah, I think reason. I was going to say maybe sensitivity because of all the ghosty stuff going on down here, all the charms and stuff, but we'll stick with reason for now.
That's an 8.
Well, that's not too bad. Okay, good. So I owe you a clue. I owe Mr. Miller a clue. Lord Grey, where do you go?
Oh, I'm going upstairs. Like without any concern about I'm pretending I'm looking for these people, but I am straight up just wandering through their house to see
Yeah.
if I can like see where that window that
I feel like you would
Miss
wander
had.
around like you belong.
Oh
right?
yeah, this is my house now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
absolutely. Yeah. I love
Me
it.
and Langfisk own this house now. Too late.
Fantastic. So the second floor is there's like an office, presumably Mr. Beale's office, as well as some storage and some other things. The third floor is bedrooms, and then the very top floor, which is actually like an attic space, that is, according to Miss Fenwicket's letters, that is the nursery.
Well, that's where we're headed. I'm just strolling up the stairs, looking at what's hanging up, just sort of casually going, not really caring if even I run into anyone. I'm just
I don't think.
sort
Yeah,
of
I think it's
going.
really quiet.
Fascinating.
The whole household is supposed to be here right now, but you don't hear any voices. You just hear your own footsteps. Your own footsteps that every time you take 9 steps, or the 9th step always has a weird creak to it, which is odd.
Yes.
Your other footsteps are almost perfectly quiet, except for that 9th one. You go up to the attic. As you make your way up, it's getting colder and colder, which is not how physics work. And the little narrow staircase that takes you up to the top floor leads into the nursery. This attic space has been decorated in soft pastel colors. This is where young Mary Alice Beale, the baby, can be found. And indeed, at the far end of the room, there's almost nothing between you at the threshold of the nursery and at the very far end, the crib. The people who look after the baby have to go up and walk all the way across to the crib. And despite the soft pastel colors, it's quite dark in here. And you hear from the shadows, "Have you come to check on the baby? On the little baby?" You feel cold. You feel the presence of something. Something in the shadows is speaking to you. I would like for you to roll the night move here, even though it's the day phase. This feels like the night move because of the darkness of the space, the danger of the space. What are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve right now?
I think I'm afraid that I'm gonna get like maybe like pushed out of here, pushed down the stairs or something. Like that there's going to be sort of an altercation
Oh,
like
like
last
something's
time.
going to push you. Oh, interesting.
Like last time.
It's worse than that. You will go falling down the stairs and your neck will snap right at Langfisk's feet as Langfisk comes up from the servants' quarters.
Oh.
Or you can leave right now. You can turn around right now.
Oh, I don't leave. Lord Bastion Grey does not back down. No. We're going to roll.
It's going to be the sensitivity. Yeah, go ahead and roll.
All
2d6.
right. Yeah, I don't even think I have anything that'll help me with this. There's like literally nothing. Yeah, no. No. My cat's not here.
Oh,
I need to get new dice.
Hold on to that for a bit. We'll check back in on you in a moment.
Yeah.
Dr. Aspectum, what body part are you going to take?
I think we see Dr. Aspectum open his black bag and reach out, and we see that same kind of staccato rapping that we did the last scene as he kind of moves up and down the sailor's body, stopping, pausing, inspecting tattoos, almost if thinking about comparing them to something in his mind, but you can't quite tell what it is. And then all of a sudden you see him like pause as if a brilliant idea has just crept into the back of his mind as he pulls open his bag and pulls out a scalpel and cuts into the chest, the lower abdomen of the sailor. Just a small incision, just large enough for his clean, unadorned hands to slide up into the chest cavity. You can tell he's working slowly and he has the knife in his hand. He's feeling and probing for something specifically. And all of a sudden we hear church bells ringing as in the reflection of a monocle. We see, again, young Nicholas Aspectum in what looks like a graveyard. We also see reflected in the reflection of this monocle, his mother talking to who we've now kind of identified only as Charles. And they're talking about how concerned they are for Nicholas as he wanders absent-mindedly through the statuary as these consistent tones from the bell echo in the past. And then he all of a sudden looks up at this body of a beautiful woman holding a pure white marble heart in her hand, a statue of the Blessed Mother, as all of a sudden we see him come back and pull a overly pale, totally exsanguinated heart out of the chest of the sailor and stick it into a wax compartment within his bag.
Before you can put the heart away, it's almost like gray or white in color because it has no blood in it. The white of the heart you can see in the lantern light is pierced by a single drop of red. And then another plunk. And then another plunk. There's blood dripping from up above onto the heart. Here again, I would like the night move, even though we're in the day, because you're in a dark, dangerous place, a subterranean place. What are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve right now?
I am afraid I will drop this heart and ruin it.
It's worse than that. Whatever is causing blood to drip onto this heart is going to use the lessons it just learned from you, maybe, to get yours. Or you can drop the heart and run.
Why would I do that?
Very well. Please roll with composure, and I don't know if you have any conditions yet, do you?
I
You not
don't.
yet. No. We'll get you some before it's over.
That is going to be a 10.
A 10, maybe not. You're in control. What do you do?
I quickly, like as if I don't quite notice, slowly move the heart towards the wax bag as if I was doing nothing before I try. And as soon as I drop it into that compartment, I whip the lantern up into that dark area of the rafters, trying to set a light or at least startle off whatever this thing is.
When you put the light up, you see, just barely illuminated in the very outer edge of the nimbus of the lantern light, a small white face staring at you from the darkness up above. It's receding, but slowly. What do you do?
Are these yours? And I hold the candy out.
Make the information move with presence.
Ain't got none of that. That's a 7.
Okay. We'll come back to this. Rick Miller, the man in the sun mask, says, "That's a fine trick indeed. I am happy, of course, to tell you everything I know about Soft Jimmy, but I would love to show you a trick of my own."
Sure. Call me desperate.
Very well. You're going to have to turn around, face away from me. I won't hurt you, don't worry.
They turn around.
You feel their touch along the back of your neck, fingertips as silky as the dressing gown. You hear him removing the mask. He's standing behind you, and he slides the mask over your face. And he says, "You have one last chance. You can keep your eyes closed, or you can open them and look into eternity." What do you do?
I'm keeping my eyes closed.
He says, "You will dream. You will dream of that which you cannot see, that which you have chosen not to see. You will dream of the sons of another world. And when you want the answers, the meaning of these dreams, you can come find me. And I'm going to give you a condition, the sons of another world." That's SUNS, sons. And he puts the mask back on and says,
"Perfect. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, yeah. He puts the mask back on and says, "Now, the bargain. They actually found Soft Jimmy here in this cubicle. There was a strange thing about the cubicle. On the wall here, right above where the body was found, And here he pulls down like a silk cloth he has hung up there. When he pulls down that silk cloth, you can see on the walls charcoal drawings, crude but identifiable charcoal drawings of like a Roman phalanx and symbols of Roman gods. I think whatever did for Soft Jimmy did this as well. And that's your clue. Oh, Lord Grey.
Hello.
I'm going to take the fiction once again because you got a miss.
God.
I'm ready to be fed now. The baby is ready to feed now. The baby desires your attention. The baby has needs that must be met. I am the baby. You must meet my needs. You can't see anything. You're not close enough to the crib to see it. But you step close. And as you take one final step, the last step you'll ever take of your own volition, you feel it rushing into you. And you hear it. I'm ready to feed now. And you spasm and jerk and fly across the threshold. You fly out the door. You don't even land on the stairs. You get dropped down the center, open part of the townhouse. You plummet 3, 4 really stories. Langfisk, you hear, maybe even look up and see Lord Grey falling, landing on his neck, twisting, cracking, dead. Unless you would like to mark an aspect of the Janus mask, Lord Grey.
Yeah, I think we're going to do that.
You have the Mask of the Unquiet available, or you can choose past or future.
I think, have we marked a mask of like one of the threats yet?
That's the Mask of the Unquiet.
Yeah, I was like, but has anyone done any of these yet?
No, not
Let's
yet.
do that. I think that's interesting.
The Mask of the Unquiet applies to everyone. Everyone has to do it, even though Lord Grey gets the benefit. Each hunter must narrate a dream. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Wrong one. Each hunter narrates a flashback to their childhood when they experienced a haunting. So think back on your childhood and a haunting you experienced. We'll visit this again. But in the meantime, Lord Grey, you keep it together. I'm going to ask you how you feel as you hear this. It's clearly the ghost posing as the baby, kind of, but doing a really bad job of it. How do you feel?
Perturbed. I'm not
Oh.
I'm not into this. Like, this is very unsettling.
So people understand what just happened. Lord Grey, we got to see a possible outcome, but instead, because of the Janus mask, we see a different outcome. And that outcome is Lord Grey taking a perturbed condition, Lord Grey, and nevertheless in control of the situation. What do you do?
So I can't see anything in these shadows at all.
You can see the basic shape of the crib, but you can't see what's in the crib or it's too far away. Yeah. Unless you get closer.
I saw that, Wes. It's just a baby. Oh, I'm getting closer because I want to see the window. I want to see like if there's any I want to see if there's anything I can see in here that gives me an information about what this ghost is attached to here. If it's actually attached to the baby, the crib. Clearly it can move, but like
Make the information move with composure. Because of perturbed, though, I'm putting you at disadvantage.
oh, for sure. My composure is also 0. We're gonna re-roll. Okay, that is a 7 still.
Okay,
Turns out I can't fight ghosts, but I can look at
You can
stuff.
look at things. We'll revisit this in a moment. Langfisk, I owe you a clue, right? What was your die result?
It was an 8, my lord.
I think you're looking around and you don't see anything in the kitchen. Irma Thicket kind of like maybe does that little thing where she slaps your hand when you go for whatever's in the pot, you know, none of your business. But of course, you're a fellow servant, so she's not going to give you too hard of a time. She'll give you a taste if you want. How's the food? What is she making?
Well, she's got herself a bit of a French onion soup, which is, to her, in her extensive knowledge, is taking a bunch of, which is essentially just taking a bunch of onions and just, boiling them down, just reducing them down, adding a little bit of spices and seasoning everything. She thinks that it's nothing, but it's actually quite delicious. And it's probably food that's way better than what these people deserve. That's just the first course. There's going to be a bunch of ducks involved as well. There's going to be more that comes with it. It's delicious, though. It's really good. It's got a nice, distinct flavor to it.
Your clue and the complication in finding the clue are coming together at the same time, the exact same moment. I think you maybe hear some commotion upstairs, and if it's okay with you, I think you maybe go upstairs briefly to check and see what's happening. And as you're going up the stairs, you hear just a moment too late Irma say, "Watch that 9th step on the way up." And you step on the 9th stair step. It snaps under your weight, but really easily, actually. And an exposed nail scratches your leg up. That's your condition. But Irma will explain to you, they always have to fix this 9th step. It always breaks. That's the clue. And she's there helping you. And she's like, "Oh, look what you did. You tore up those fine trousers. Your lord's going to be very upset."
God blimey. That's just a right. I mean, that's a right. Pardon me.
Oh, say what you mean to say.
Fucking shit, cunt.
Well,
Sorry.
I imagine you don't kiss your mother with that mouth.
Not anymore.
You can kiss me with it if you'd like. Strong smell of tobacco and onions, by the way.
Langfist has a look across his face of maybe? And then goes, "I've got to get going. I apologize. I'll have Velma take a look at that step."
She explains once again, doesn't matter. It's going to break. They know to avoid it. Dr. Spectum, what'd you get in die roll?
It's been so long.
I know, it's been a minute.
It was a mixed success. I don't remember what it was, but
yeah. I just need to know the tier.
It was a 7.
You had asked, "Is this yours?" Holding up the candy, right?
Correct.
A little hand, luminous, white, pale, The arm, thin as a stick, reaches down out of the darkness, takes the candy, and then replaces it with a little bundle of gardenia. And as they creep back up into the shadows, they say, those were her favorite. I'm going to let you, your clue is this gardenia. And I'm going to give you a condition which will interpret what it means in play later, but it's in quotes, those were her favorite.
Love it.
I think at this point, well, let's check back in with Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, you've gotten everything you can get out of the Man in the Sun mask for the time being. He leans back. He smokes the pipe. He tells you again, you're welcome to visit anytime you want, Mr. Miller. Or he doesn't know your name, but he just says, sir. But he always says, sir, with like almost like a little mocking taunt in his voice. You're welcome back anytime you'd like, sir. And you can go, or, well, what do you do at this point?
This was fun. Can't say it was real fun. Just gonna amble out as quickly as I ambled in and wait for the conductor.
Before you go, just a reminder. I'm a very, very powerful, well-paid solicitor in the city. I have to wear this mask so no one will be able to see me in my terrible leisure. I do hope you'll keep that secret to yourself. And then you can go.
My lips are sealed. Ugh.
Jenny Johnston sees you and says, there you are. Are you, And then she kind of like leans in. Well, you're not partaking, so I guess, did any of my patrons have anything to say?
Perhaps too much to say. Do you even know who that is? To make a gesture in that direction.
She says, yes. But I make a point of never speaking about him. It's best that way.
Yeah, I can see why.
Well, and she says, I want to let you know that if you find yourself ever in need of my particular goods and services, there's always room for you here.
Well, that is awfully appreciated, but I've definitely spent more than enough time today, at least. Did Doctor are to leave or still skulking with the packages?
Indeed, Dr. Spectum, I suppose if you want, you can be coming up from the basement at this point. And yeah, we'll just put the two of you together. What happens now? What's going on? Oh, you're muted, Tony.
Muted.
Then y'all missed me say, as I came to the top of the stairs, I'm done with the bodies now.
Jenny Johnson gets a red-faced fury.
Patrick, thank you for keeping an eye out up here, for maintaining. I'm sure you were effective at whatever end you set out for.
That's exactly what I was doing, just keeping the peace.
Yes. Are you ready to go? Would you like to stay?
Oh no, I'm ready.
Hmm. Okay. Well, we may be back. I'm sure we'll have more questions. Someone can take care of that lighter work. The heavy lifting here should be done for the most part. Go ahead and make sure you keep them cool. You've done, like I said, an admirable job so far. But if you can,
Yes, it's very important to keep beer and food
Yes, with
cool.
the
Yes.
packages, very yes,
watch out
and
for vermin
amenities
also
and
too.
such,
Indeed.
because they love vittles.
Yes, all manner of creature will just dig into them.
Yeah, we should just go. Come on, Knox. We should probably get back to good old Hargrave. Come on.
Indeed. Let's check in one last time with Langfisk and Lord Grey, and then that'll be our day phase. Lord Grey, where did we leave you last? I've already forgotten. Sorry.
Oh, I was checking by the window and the crib, and I got a 7
Indeed.
for stuff. And
You do see the baby, Mary Alice Beale.
is it a
She's
regular
just
baby?
sitting there in the crib, babbling away like babies do. She's very young, certainly too young to be able to speak so eloquently. And she looks at you and kind of makes a noise. Maybe she wants to be fed. Who knows? Whatever babies, want. I'm not sure your relationship with babies in particular, but in any case,
None.
indeed. And because you've been through so much today, I'm going to give you your clue, free and clear, which is Mary Alice drops her little wax doll out of the crib. And if you make a move to grab it for her,
Mm-hmm.
The doll slides underneath the crib and something puts it back in there with her.
Oh.
That's the
Wow.
clue. Kind of open to interpretation, but that's what it is.
With that, I think I just sort of wave at the baby and kind of like I don't look under the crib, but just in the general, I like wave at both like it's a social gathering, and I'm dipping.
Yeah, indeed. Langfisk, anything else you want to do here at the end of the house scene? You good? You're all cut up now.
I'll cut up on the leg, but just going to try his best to cover it up. And like it's nothing. Probably even took from Irma a couple of bobby pins.
Mm.
And it's just going to help Lord Bastion Grey with the coat. And is going to prepare to grab the umbrella.
Can I see? Is it like obvious that you fucked up your leg? How well did you hide it?
Oh, not just well enough to get out of the house. Not like
yes.
completely covered it. Yeah.
And actually, I think we see this like a very short mirror of the scene with the mirror prior. And as soon as they're out of, maybe not even out of the house. What happened? Did you get into some sort of altercation? What happened down here? Leave you with the staff and they rough you up. Good gracious.
Much like the rest of the house, the downstairs, particularly the stairs, quite cheap. That ninth one is one you got to watch out for.
I noticed that it's this construction is terrible and esoteric. Are you all right though?
I believe it's more of the esoteric, my lord, and of course I'm perfectly fine. I wouldn't want to keep you from where you need to go next. Do not worry about me.
And I don't want my man losing a leg. Good gracious. And he will slow down for you, but he will not stop you from like holding an umbrella or putting his coat on for him.
I think there's a moment of like putting on the coat one at a time, and you saying like, "I will not have my man like injured or anything like that." And there's just this moment of like pride on Langfisk's face, and just goes, "Do not worry for me. I'll take care of it later. There's much we need to discuss, in particular with the rest of the members of our house. I think we have a clear idea of where things are going here."
I agree.
Indeed. Why don't we move on to the Dusk phase then? So the Dusk phase sees Hargrave House back together, all hunters back together at the house. We don't really have to do too much role play here. We mostly just have to prepare for the night phase. But I do want to give you the chance to answer a question, since someone had mentioned maybe answering a question at this point. You do have a fair number of clues, especially on the St. James's Street ghost thread. I'm going to remind chat what the clues are. Ginny Hess, the maid, was choked but not killed that way. Ginny also had a stack of love letters tied with a red ribbon. The letters were written at a much older time, like they were like, the suggestion was like many like decades or even a century old. Constance Head saw a third floor room on fire, though it wasn't real. The top floor rooms are much colder than the rest of the house. We just witnessed that as well. Every mirror in Lord Grey's room cracked in a spiral during the attack on the previous night phase. This crimson puzzle box was found in one of the children's rooms at St. James's Street, and no one knows who it belongs to. The 9th stair step on the way up from the basement always breaks, and there's a phantom hand caring for the baby. Does anybody want to posit an answer to one of these questions now? Or do we want to discuss it? What do we think? Let's read the move too, so everybody knows what we're doing. The answer to the question move is how we get these questions answered. When you have an open, freewheeling discussion about the answer to a question, once you've gathered a number of clues equal to at least half the complexity, and you've got plenty, and reach a consensus, roll plus the number of clues incorporated into the answer or otherwise explained away minus the complexity. So basically, you work these clues into your theory, and then that goes against the complexity, and you roll to see if you're correct. But you have to come up with, it has to be plausible. You have to come up with something that makes sense. And so the two questions you have, one is, where's the ghost attached to in the house? That will help. That actually just gives you another move. And then the more pertinent question for banishing the ghost is, how do we get it to go away? Are we ready to have this discussion?
Yeah.
Well, B, what do you think? You had kind of jumped in there originally.
Well, I was actually going to ask like a mechanical question about this too. So is this a threshold question, big question scenario?
No, they're both available to be answered at the same time, because
Okay.
they're kind of two different things, and the clues can be used for one or the other, basically.
Okay,
You
fabulous.
don't have to use all the clues. You can just use as many as you need to answer the question.
Then I would pose a question to everyone that which one do we think we want to answer, or should we answer both? Which we think is the most interesting?
I am okay tackling one than the other. I'm also okay if we jump straight to how do we just resolve the problem also too.
I want that move.
I mean,
I
I
respect
You want that
Tony's.
move?
I respect Tony's decision. I want that move.
If you want that move, that's all I need to know about it. You know,
If there's a custom move, I want it. That's the completionist in me. If there's a collectibles thing I have to do,
you got to
I'm
unlock
gonna
every
check that
single. Yeah. I get you.
It's an easy question. It's only complexity too.
Ding.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think we know where it is. I mean, I think we can answer it with the two the
Let's all say it exactly at the same time.
at the same time, like we've rehearsed, you know.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Texas Roadhouse.
Great job, everybody.
Bravo, bravo.
10 out of 10. I think we did it, guys.
The ghost is there like, how much for one rib? That's what I want to know.
Ghost loves peanuts.
I mean, do we feel
got
like
rib
the
out
ghost
part?
is attached to the baby or the baby's room or the crib or something on that level? Is that what we're
It's got to be the
thinking?
nursery, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's.
yeah.
I mean, the room that was on fire.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna suggest. Like,
Nursery.
Well, let's look at the clues that might speak to that. I mean, I think probably the phantom hand caring for the baby is the most significant one.
The puzzle box found in the children's room. And then
If we want to say it was found in the nursery specifically, that would be. You can add in extra context to make the
Yeah.
clue work.
We could do that, and we also, if we wanted to use that one for the how do we get the ghost to pass on? We could use the fire in the that Miss Head saw in that top room, or if we think that's a good one to, how do we get it to? Because I am very much into using, I guess, fire for this for this ghost.
Well, let's just focus on the one question of which part is that.
Mhm.
Which part of the house is the ghost attached to?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Complexity 2. If you say that the puzzle box was found in the nursery and nobody knows where it came from, and then of course we know that the phantom is up. There's this phantom hand taking care of the baby. Also, just there's a lot of context in the story of the ghost being just connected to the baby. Like the ghost is really into the baby. That I think that all speaks to it pretty well. That would be 2 clues, and that would make the roll +0 because it's complexity 2. So the 2 clues would cancel out the complexity. If you want a better shot at the roll, you can maybe see if one other clue speaks to that. Maybe the coldness on the upper floors or something. I don't know. But
we could, if we're gonna try to tackle both of them. I mean, I'm fine with 2 flat rolls because we can always put on some masks if we need to.
that is true.
And Wes, you're the one who wants the move, so
Yeah, let's just do flat for both of them. I think as much as I'd like to do like 3 and then have 1 less for the other one, let's just try straight up. Let's see how it works. It's our first result, like our first investigation or answer a question. Let's see how it goes, and that will set the tone for the rest of the game.
Indeed.
no
So
pressure.
you believe that the ghost is attached to the nursery. You've got a couple of clues that definitely point in that direction, I would say. Go ahead and roll. Whoever wants to roll it, it's going to be a flat roll, 2d6. It
I
rolls.
feel like this
roll
has
for the whole
got to be.
group.
Yeah, this has got to be Lord Grey or Langfisk.
I'm gonna hand it off to my man Langfisk, who's gonna get the move if we get this, because my dice are.
Well, everybody
not
gets the
happy.
move, but yeah.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. Fancy. Then I'm gonna make Langfisk do it.
I am your glove. Wish me luck. All right. No joke. That's a 12.
Nice.
I
Very
will also
good.
screenshot for posterity just because I always get I'll drop it in the
The tone it's
discussion
going to
channel.
set for the rest of the campaign as we used our 112 to find out where the ghost
Yeah.
was.
To answer the most obvious question possible. That's good.
Yep, that's it. Wrap it up. We're good.
Let's read the move so we know what we're getting on a 12 plus. So on a 10 plus, you're correct, and the opportunity can be pursued. In this case, you just get the move. On a 12 plus, the mastermind will reveal themselves while the hunters are pursuing the opportunity. I have to interpret that a little differently because you're just getting a move, but I have an idea for how to interpret it. And so hold that thought. And you have the move. I'll go ahead and tell you what the move is so you are aware of that. The move is called Old Bones. When you have the cosmic passage marked and touch, listen to, or otherwise attune to a building's architectural details, you roll a sensitivity. On a hit, a ghost will appear and answer a single question you pose to it or perform a small task, your choice. Any answers it gives can be in the form of a clue at my discretion. On a 10 plus as above, and the ghost will not ask for anything in return. So this is the move that lets you find a building's ghosts and get their help. Quite simply. I will later on transfer that information to the, or it looks like somebody's already doing it. Get to transfer the move over to your move sheet. Do you want to take a crack at this other question?
Yeah.
Does someone have a theory?
We're here, y'all. Let's do it.
Someone want to share your answer with us? What do we think? The question is, how do we get the ghost to move on?
So I'm thinking there has to be, in the room where there's a focus, there has to be a 9-pointed spiral formed in the room. We can use, say, salt or something of that nature, something to mark it. But on each of the tines, the arms of the spiral, there has to be a relevant item to this ghost. So say the stack of love letters, a bowl that has fire in it that may not seem all that natural. Mayhaps there also has to be something represented like Ginny being choked. Well, different items, and I'm sure somebody else can come up with these, but that's where my brain is.
I like that general form. We just need to fill in at least 5 of those items.
Okay, like a poppet. Maybe a poppet that's being like, that has like a red cord around its neck or something. Like, a red ribbon, like the love letters.
What about?
Oh, this is really interesting.
What about the red ribbon tied around the doll's neck that was being handed back up?
Oh, so we're saying you have to perform a ritual that you have to make a spiral, because that's apparently important to the ghost, and then you have to put these affinity objects in the spiral, and then what? Will that draw the ghost to the spiral, or will the ghost follow the spiral till they're gone, or like what's going to happen here?
I think the other question for me is like, what is the significance of the spiral in this, right? Like why a spiral?
Yeah, I think that's probably really important.
And why does that matter? Like, is this cyclical? Is this an arcane something? Because like Ginny, these are old letters. It's happening with Ginny now.
I like the cyclical idea, and this. I think it can both be cyclical and arcane.
I mean, a spiral does. It's interesting. It's really interesting. I think the number 9 is important. The spiral is important. I like the idea of the affinity objects. I like the idea of there being 9 objects, even if like you don't have. I mean, it could be you just come up with 9 objects,
right.
And presumably some will come from the clues. I'm going to help you out with the objects, though, in the form of mastermind clue. While you're all having this discussion, a delivery boy drops off a package to Hargrave House. It's a beautiful sapphire blue velvet box, and inside is a sapphire blue baby rattle and a little note that says, "For the little one." So there's a little object for you.
Holy shit. That's delightful.
I think, how can we get this ghost to pass on to the next world? I do like the spiral, like having the ghost walk through the spiral. So maybe it is.
They collect things on the spiral, and then when they get to the end, they're dead or something.
It's
they're
moved
gone.
on.
Yeah.
Probably walking this ghost through like showing a little bit of religious hand. But you know, the Stations of the Cross, when it's around Easter time, you have to go through the different stations. It's the different aspects of Easter with Jesus and everything. What if these items are tied to different aspects related to this ghost relationship with this house? And so we have to walk it through. It's like walking through the ghost through life and then walking it to the end. And also there has to be a representation of Ginny being choked. But not being killed that way, because something utilizing the choking was important to this ghost, whether it was its own violent death.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe someone has to stand in as the role of the ghost.
100% what I was. Yeah, that's where. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Oh, joy.
So good.
That's
Vyn,
another
what do you
time
think?
that a person was inside Tony's brain, up the counter. That's number
This is all,
3.
this is all really good. Vyn, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I'm just.
I'm in awe personally.
Really good.
Yeah, I love it. I'm like,
Right?
I'm living for this theory. I think it's really, really good. Someone has to take on the violent choking death role of the ghost in life, walking a spiral sort of Stations of the Cross through the house, collecting these affinity objects when they reach the center. What is the center?
I mean, I think the center, I mean, given everything we've set up, I feel like the center would be an offertory moment to, like, essentially this person has to be brought to, like, that is it. Like, you're taking, and then you essentially, I think, have to let the ghost choke, like, attempt to kill you in order to draw it out.
Oh,
If we want to lean fully into that,
Yes.
That's
that
dangerous, but I
scapegoat
like it.
sacrificial motif of the
So
walk
much
up. I think
fun.
that's the, you have to be willing to take on death from them.
I find this really interesting. I find this really interesting, and I'm curious. This is a side topic, but I'm curious, Dr. Aspectum. This is not really. I mean, you're a man of science.
Oh no, I'm willing to go along with this. I'm absolutely willing to volunteer to be the person in the middle, because this is all ridiculous poppycock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I like the idea of you're just like, I'll do it because it's not real.
100%.
I was like,
volunteer to do this
I was like,
because-
who's drawing straws? And
because
Knox
I
is like,
do not
me.
believe any of this ridiculousness about a ghost.
Exactly. So good. Okay, well, let's look at these. Let's take a look at the rest of these clues. Okay, so the only one you don't have is just the top floor of the house being colder than the rest of the house. All the rest of it sort of fits in a little bit. The love letters, the choking, a bowl of fire, which I thought was really smart. Obviously, the 9th step is symbolic of the 9 steps of this stations that the ghost does, or that you have to do. The spiral, of course. Anybody want to make a case for this last clue somehow?
Which
How
the
it might
cold
fit?
one? Yeah. So we have the fire, right? I feel like the fire and the cold are good antithesis to each other, right? Like there's a good duality there.
I mean, cold iron's a really cool thing. I think Wes was the one who brought that up. Maybe we could use that as some sort of metaphorical cold, or is that like too anti-ghost? I'm not up on my lore.
Cold iron's good for general supernatural things also too.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's colder than the rest of the house. The Miss Headsaw fire.
Does it signify? Does like the cold signify that the ghost has arrived, that it is now available, or that it's gone? Or something?
That would be interesting. Maybe the cold is just how you know it's working. Like, oh, the ghost is here, right?
Yeah, like here's a question. Did it arrive in fire? Like was there a passion, an instigating incident, and then the coldness signifying that it is working, like right, it being distant from.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of the cold, like, is the way you all know it's working. You're like, oh, I can sense it here. It's colder here. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think this is really terrific. I think it's a great solution. We need to roll, see if it's correct. It's going to be a flat roll, whoever wants to do it.
Since Wes did it last time, and since I'm going to die in the middle of it, I'll make the roll.
Fuck yes.
Woo! We love a volunteer.
Bowler Bros.
You can put on a mask on a roll, right?
You all have to, but yeah.
That's
Oh,
that's a 3, baby.
A 3.
Oh,
Not good.
I am willing to put on a mask for this.
On a
But-
miss, you would be wrong, and I get to make a move against you all. Otherwise, you can put on a mask. Everybody has to, and then do that. And I would also point out that you all owe me some narrations already from Mask of the Unquiet. So we do have a little bit. You have a lot of narrations to do. Are we going to do this? Are we going to put on masks, everyone?
Yeah, I've got some prepared.
That's a yes for Langfisk, a yes for Knox. Lord Grey is a yes. Rick, I didn't hear if you were a yes or not, but
oh yeah.
yeah, fantastic.
I don't have one prepared, but I will. I'll mark it.
We'll wing it. I mean, we can also
Yeah, I'm ready
narrate.
to
We can
riff.
narrate all of our Janus masks at the top of the next session too. Just we don't have to do it right away. But fantastic. Okay, I love all that. That's really great. Okay, well then let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of our phase here. Oh, we have to do the quickening. The American's quickening move fires off in the Dusk phase. It reads, I will read it here. You live with a curse that causes you to become savage, even feral, to the point where your body physically changes, Mr. Miller. Please, at the start of the Dusk phase, roll with composure or sensitivity, your choice. And I think I'm not going to make your conditions apply. You can roll 2d6.
Cool. I'm going to take this with composure.
Right.
That's a 5.
Oh, no. Well, things are getting more and more complicated as we go tonight. On a miss, you're going to lose control. You can either retire this character and tell me to put the cursed in play, which is basically they have to fight you in your transformed state, or reveal your curse to another hunter and ask for their help controlling you tonight as you have your change. Or you can mark the Janus mask to bump up the roll to a 7. So what do we think?
No, we have so many problems.
It would be so funny to
I'll
bring
reveal my
in the America that
curse.
immediately be like, oh, that was a great episode.
Well, that was fun, y'all. I'll see you next week. I'll come back as the vessel, actually. It was my plan the entire time.
So good. So what do you think?
But no. Yeah, I'm gonna reveal my curse to another hunter and ask for help.
Fantastic. Let's keep going here. I'm going to pose a paint the scene question about Hargrave House. Let's learn a little bit about Hargrave House, as we did last time. Today, we're going to learn about the library, which is where you're all having your conversation about this ghost. Of all the rooms in Hargrave House, none feel more unstuck than this one. Unstuck in the sense of weird and strange. As you enter the library, what do you see or experience that feels a little off?
Book titles change sometimes. Like, you know the title on the spine, but it changes just every once in a while.
If you can't find a title that you're looking for, you can rearrange it in the card catalog to help help it become more apparent.
There's a podium in the center of this library that has a great tome, which is the story of Hargrave House. It is a collection of events that has happened. And as each of these threats are resolved, each of these things that occur, they are being written in this book, but it is not in handwriting that any of us recognize.
And since the books are so mercurial and the titles keep changing, they're actually arranged by color and by title or subject. So at least if you can remember the red one, you're in the right place.
I would head straight to the blue ones and see what they're about. I love it. Thank you all. The next part of the phase. Everybody says what their hunter will be doing during the upcoming night phase. We know what you're doing, Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, who are you going to reveal your curse to?
I'm going to leave it up to a better die. 1 and 2, Lord
Okay.
Bastion. 3, 4, Lang Fisk. 5, 6, Knox. Ooh. That's a 1, so...
It's Lord Grey.
Oh, me?
Yes,
Lord-
you.
Lord Grey, will you be helping?
Oh, of course I will. I mean, I could not say no to that out of character, and in character, Lord Grey is too fascinated by this whole.
So Langfisk and Dr. Spectum, if you're going to go tackle the ghost tonight, you don't have to, but if you are, it's just the two of you. Very well.
Great things happen when we're together.
Mhm.
Bowler Brothers!
I love it. Okay. If anybody wants to do their Janus Mask prompts, they can do so now. I'll remind you, you all owe the Mask of the Unquiet, and everyone else, and you might have marked a mask that requires you to narrate something.
What was the Mask of the Unquiet question again?
That was the one where you have to talk about a haunting from your childhood.
That's right.
Yeah. You all can save it for later, but you can do it now if you wish.
I mean, I personally vote if we do the Mask of the Unquiet together, just because that's thematically cool.
I don't have mine. Well, I can just do it off the dome.
You
but
can
I
do
don't
it
have
off the
it ready.
cuff. Yeah. you can do it
Yeah,
off the
I
cuff.
do have my first Mask of the Past, though.
It's up to you.
What are y'all thinking? Y'all think we all do the Unquiet together, or do we do the Mask of the Past? Or, yeah, that's the only thing. Do y'all want to do the Mask of the Unquiet?
I'm good.
I mean, I'm down for
I think
that.
it'll be fun. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Who wants to talk about their childhood haunting first?
We hear the church bells still ringing in the background in distant, concerned conversation as young Knox wanders through the graveyard. We hear the voice of Charles and his mother get slightly more distant as all of a sudden we see him peek his young head around a doorway that's obviously darker inside against the bright white of the middle of the day as he wanders into the family's crypt that's open. And as he makes his way from grave marker to grave marker, running his fingers over the indents of the phrases, stopping and looking at the different reliefs and other pieces, there's a man standing there. Slightly older, a vague familiar resemblance. He's never met this man before, but he looks like all the pictures of his mother's brother who died when he was younger. And Knox, as he makes his way over, just starts to say hello, and then the man turns and looks at him and reaches out a hand. And as his hand touches a beam of sunlight, he just fades away.
I can go next. My dearest flame, earlier this evening, as I sat amongst the ingredients of garlic, onions, cloves, and potatoes, I thought back upon my time back in Woolshed, near Beechworth. It reminded me of my mother. They called her one of the Irish famine girls, one of 4 scores that were brought over during the hard times. She worked in workhouses amongst all these other orphan girls who had no families. She would tell me of these scores of women and young girls that would die day after day, working their fingers to the bone. But as they worked in these workhouses, sorting through different amounts of food, bread, things for those who had most, those that owned land, cattle drivers, and the soldiers that controlled the area, these girls and women that passed from them never really went away. They would linger like spirits or gargoyles watching over them. I never believed her. I thought it was old Irish wives' tales that she told me and the rest of my siblings to keep us asleep or in bed. But one time when I snuck out into the bush, I couldn't have been more than 6 years old. I happened upon a wreck, a ruin, an old building with a wide metal fence around it. There was a tin roof with rusted holes that the rain had just poured through. The wood was rotten, and you could see scores of tables lined up like church pews. As I explored amongst the wreckage, I found numbers of trinkets, old belt buckles, different bows, ribbons, things that had been left behind. But I felt something behind me. I dared not look, for I feared what I saw, and I feared that maybe my mother might have been correct. I swallowed deeply and made my way to the nearest exit, but I got turned around. It seemed that maybe a piece of wood or some of the roof had collapsed, barring the exit. So I had to become creative and find another hole to climb out of. And that's when I saw them. Scores of women and young girls staring at me with sunken eyes, taut skin, saturated and bloated bellies filled with nothing but gas and sand. I screamed. I couldn't hear it, but I know I screamed. And I kept screaming until I screamed hoarsely, not a peep coming out. My da found me there, shamed me for running out during the night, said that a dingo could have carried me off. He brought me back home and put me to bed quickly. I think about those ghosts at night, walking the streets of this town. And I wonder if you may see them too. With love and promise, your Longfish.
No, I'm glad I went before you.
Yeah, who wants to follow that?
I hate everything about you, actually. No. I refuse, actually.
All storytelling is valid. Whoever would like to go next.
It's all good. You're all good.
Rock, paper, scissors. Let's go. You.
Look, if it makes you feel better, I realized he should have
Okay,
handed me
fine,
something and
fine,
said these
fine.
were her favorite about my mom, and I totally didn't realize that till afterwards. So, you know.
That's so smart. Um, I think pulling back though, then. Um, Patricia never really liked going to church. She was never big on the fancy dresses and the decorations and the pageantry, mostly because of her own memories there. The building couldn't afford church bells. Instead, there was the screams and praises and worship, spirituals from way past when. And in particular, a woman spitting, hissing, cursing as they held her down, and her father, Patrick Sr., prayed, hoping to banish the spirit out. Um, there were scars, there were blood, and she did her best to help her father hold the woman down. And the ectoplasm, whatever, the unholy bile spewed from her mouth and onto her feet. And that's what she remembers. That's why she does it. Thank the father like she should. And that's possibly why they believe they were cursed, because of him. So,
Thank you very much, Lord Grey.
Going last is always a trial. But I think we actually we pan from the blood we see in this church, presumably in a completely different country than where Lord Bastion grew up. We presume he's British. Um, and we see a splatter of blood on a mirror and a very young Bastion looking at it and trying to wipe it off. And it's like it's on the other side. And he keeps trying to wipe it off and kind of looks around for maybe like a servant with like something to fix this. And as he looks behind him and then looks back, there's a woman behind him. She's blonde and she's young, and he knows who she is, and her neck is broken. And she doesn't say a word, and neither does he, but he touches the glass and looks behind him, and she's gone.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much. Those were all really terrific. I'm sufficiently creeped out. Let's keep going with our phase. Next up is the unseen. I think for today's unseen, if you want to follow along on the London at Night, the unseen tab of the Character Keeper, we're going to do, let's do a drink at the Four Magpies. That's on line 41 on the far right side. The Four Magpies is a pub popular with working class gay men, run by the butch landlady Polly O'Donnell. While it seems like any other cramped, rowdy, spit and sawdust pub, it is an oasis of relative safety in a dangerous city. Polly does what she can to protect her boys. There are a few small rooms available upstairs, and some of the lads make a bit of extra coin entertaining wealthier guests. Everyone's responsible for paint the scene, which is the first prompt. The second prompt will be for B. The third prompt will be for Wes, and the fourth prompt will be for Tony. taking a look at the time, I think if we're really, really snappy and we just focus on the action, we'll be able to wrap up the night phase. We could keep it real action focused. I think we can do it and not go too late. So let's take a 5-minute break so you all can rest. Think about what it looks like when you transform, Mr. Miller, and what that scene is going to be like when Lord Grey has to keep you under control, and think about the ritual that you're going to do at St. James's Street. And we'll take 5. We'll come back. Of course, think about the 4 magpies as well. See you in 5. Turn it over to Tony. It's the night phase. The 4 magpies. I'll remind you all to think about echoes in the night, thematic or visual or sensory connections between the scene at the 4 magpies and what's happening with the hunters. But as we go to this bar, everyone please describe a moment we see of men sharing a moment of intimacy that would be unwise to do elsewhere.
I think we see 2 men, and they've just arrived, actually. And they weren't standing close when they arrived, but now they are. And one helps the other take his jacket off, and his hands linger on his collarbone.
There's a booth in a corner, and we see 2 intellectuals, young university students, poring over a fresh batch of workers' pamphlets, things that allow those that may not understand more intellectual schools of thought that they have rights and they should be fighting for these rights and they should be pushing for these rights. And we see them both nod in agreement and then catch themselves nodding in sync and then staring at each other and having this moment that if anybody else was around them would notice and know that it is out of hand. It is a little bit too long of lingering.
We see a member of Parliament and a dock worker having an argument about politics. And then at the end, one of them reaches out and slaps the other one on the dock worker reaches out and slaps the member of Parliament on the chest and says, "Seems like you don't know any more about politics than I do."
Let's keep going. Langfisk, I'm going to put you at St. James's Street. What preparations are you and the governess making in the house right now?
I have had her gather some of the coarsest salt in the house and begin grinding it in a pepper mill, getting it nice and fine so it's almost like a sand. And I have begun gathering the items that have been given to me in a list by Lord Grey and by Mr. Miller to assign them. And I think you can see Langfisk is like just confused by this whole thing. I think it's important to note that the 2 most like standard, just like not esoteric, not like weird connections at all people are sitting here doing these things. And it's almost just like it's like a step by step, like a person reading an IKEA put together hand that's like take a red ribbon and tie it around a baby doll's neck. You know what that's all about there?
I love it. Well, I was going to ask you, Dr. Aspectum, what are you doing to prepare yourself to walk in the footsteps of the ghost?
I have another copy of the plan. There are copious notes and corrections that I am outlining around it, along with like some conceited theories of, well, maybe this actually has to do with a level of symbolic resonance and like he's trying to science up the magic as much as he can to just kind of get through this. And we just kind of see the notes over the shoulder. As we pull back, it's very apparent that he is also dressed in some of Jenny's clothing that very poorly fit him, but that he is like kind of like made himself into a representation of her to draw the ghost more presently.
So Vyn is having a tech issue. So in the interest of time and finishing the phase, Lord Grey, do you want to just sit out for the night phase and then pick up next time, or do you want to be here at the house and doing the ritual?
I want to definitely do this with Rick. So, we either get Vin's thing going, or Lord Grey gonna take a little chill pill.
Take a chill pill for now. We'll pick up whenever. If we're able to pick up tonight, we will. But if not, we'll see what happened next time.
And but if it's a bandwidth issue, just if you want to just turn off your camera so we can at least get clean audio, that should be fine. Also, too, I think.
Yeah. Let's go back to.
Hey, I don't mind giving that a shot.
Oh, that worked. Yeah, we can hear you.
We can
Fantastic.
hear our were friend.
Indeed.
Yay!
Well, then let's keep going then. So we've seen what preparations Langfisk and Dr. Spectum are making. Mr. Miller, what is happening to you right now? Like, everybody else is gone. Only Lord Grey is still around because Lord Grey is just being lazy. And this is what Lord Grey does at night, I guess. I don't know. What does Lord Grey see is happening to you?
Lord Grey sees Rick in a cold sweat and their muscles contracting and forming. Like, you know how you like how a Charlie horse, you can see like the back of your calf just like twitching. It's every muscle on their person just tensing and curling as they're hunched over with a thick gurgle as they try to form words, but instead their face is slowly elongating and breaking out in this in thick tufts of black hair. Just long, rather panting and heavy breaths. But their eyes are still human enough to look at you and plead.
Well, he was going to offer you some cocaine and chill, but that's not going to happen. Wait, that can wait.
That can wait. Back at the Four Magpies, B. Curtis Jackson is a young barrow boy who has heard rumors of the Four Magpies, but never visited before. How do we see him make his first nervous steps inside? How is he drawn in?
He stands in the doorway for longer than is socially acceptable, but everyone here is kind of used to this if they don't recognize the person. And he just slowly makes his way in and kind of lingers at the wall. And then he sees somebody, maybe a shape in a darkened corner, and he hears them speak before he can see them. They say, "It's okay. We don't bite." And then they step out of the shadows, and it is a friendly looking older gentleman. He's got smile lines, and something about him makes Curtis feel safe. And the man leads him over to the bar with the rest of these friends and welcomes him into the fold.
Dr. Spectum, describe the first few steps of the ritual. How are you feeling?
I mean, I'm fine. I don't think this is going to do anything. So, and I, you know, they've gathered everything kind of on the table. We've placed everything on this large silver platter. for Langfist to kind of carry behind and hand to me as we go step to step. One of the things we kind of realize as we're going is that the spinning up the staircase, floor to floor to floor, is actually where the spiral starts. As we kind of get to the base of the landing, Dr. Spectrum, who rarely ever is out of sorts, the immensity of the moment and the fact that he is having to do something that is totally separate from him causes him to just pause and reach out and kind of lean his hand against the wall, gathers himself, kind of shakes it off, and then takes the first item from Langfisk, which is... Langfisk, what are you handing me?
I am handing you the stack of love letters.
So we take the stack of love letters and slowly start to read them. And as we move up the stairs, dropping them as each one is finished being read aloud, the temperature starts to slowly, gently cool just a little bit.
Lord Grey, what do you do once you realize Mr. Miller is losing control?
I take Mr. Miller's hand. I know this is dangerous, but I very, very quickly lead him to a back room that is reserved for usually other activities that I might have guests over for. And I pull him in and I shut the door behind us. And I look at him, hope to God he's still human adjacent, and ask, all right, what is this normal and what can I do to help you?
Is it too late for conversations, Rick?
Is it?
What's happening?
Yeah, what's happening?
Yeah, it's a very, no, it's just barely a whisper, pleading as the hands start to curl into claws and pads, and the rest of the body just lowers itself for a tail and ears. His hair is still matted on top of his head, growing more ferocious and canine-like by the second.
Back at the Four Magpies, Wes, a well-dressed toff enters the pub, clearly cruising for trade. Which eager lads compete, good-naturedly or otherwise, for his attention, and who just scoffs at him?
We see Jonathan and Thomas at the bar both take quick drinks and do a quick round of Rochambeau to see who shall be the first to approach. Jonathan wins, approaches with some poetry. Maybe the highborn toff, this what High Lord might appreciate something, a Casanova of sorts. Just waves him off. It's rambling. There's no really form or meter to it. Next, Thomas goes forth and tries a more subtle approach. Approaching him, sliding up next to the bar, asking about him, but you can tell this highborn lord takes one look at Thomas. There's nothing there. There's no interest. And then we see this gentleman that's smoking a pipe with this very melancholy looking mutt with a rope around its neck. He just scoffs, types out some of the pipe tobacco that's burnt through from the pipe, and lights another. The highborn does a reeling almost, like it's just been wounded by an arrow. How dare somebody scoffs towards him and approaches this mutt looking up with these sad, pleading eyes. I need something, a scrap to eat or something. But the highborn lord pays no attention and looks directly at this man and goes, "Excuse me, does there seem to be an issue?" Get quite a lot of your types that come in through here. You all leave the same. Nothing for your liking, nothing for your taste. Might as well find yourself more up, how about towards the west end? That might be more for you. The Lord says, "Well, I never. I am a dignified, world-traveled man, and I have tasted from here to Shanghai. I understand good quality. And though there might not be a lot, I shall find something of quality." We see the conversation back and forth, almost like badminton, until finally the highborn lord is sitting directly discussing with this man the merits of variety. We don't hear much more of their conversation. They get engrossed in themselves, but we do see them eventually leave with one another. So,
Langfisk, Dr. Aspectum doesn't believe this is real, but you can tell it's working. How do you know?
not only is there a chill in the air, that silver platter is starting to gather ice crystals along the edge of it. You can start hearing shutters outside banging open and closed. You can hear Langfist behind you. "That's it, Doc. Come on. Keep it up, mate. You've got it. We're really close to the end of this. Whatever you're doing, it's working."
I suppose, and as I say that, we see chill air catch in the middle of the hallway as I take the doll with the red ribbon around its neck, its sad eyes looking out at us, and drape it on the top floor of the landing as we approach the hallway to the nursery.
Lord Grey, all hell is breaking loose right now. Please describe it.
I think, yeah, he keeps trying to talk to Rick, like as if Rick can talk back, even though he knows that that's super not an option anymore. And just kind of like puts something between them, like a piece of furniture, a cushioned bench, and then is like out the door and shuts it and locks it and starts talking to him through it. He's like, "Please don't take this personally. You'll be very comfortable in there until we can figure this out. I assure you, I will figure this out."
Mr. Miller, Lord
And it's just a
Grey.
clatter of furniture. Yeah.
My
Please,
shit's getting fucked up.
I love it. Smash, bash.
Like a
So,
puppy's
so
first
good.
night boarding, just awful noises and howling and scratching at the door.
Oh,
You hear that snuffle, like the sound of a snout against like the crack.
oh my god.
So
I
Let's-
think he actually like almost feels bad about it, like because he hears like the dog, like the sad dog snuffle, and like is almost tempted to try to
Yeah.
open the door and talk to you again, and is like, this is dumb, and I'm not doing it.
or actually Tony, as last orders are called and people start to file out of the 4 Magpies, how do we see Polly looking after her customers with words or action where needed?
In the pre-dawn light, we see Polly step out onto the porch, breath heavy in the air, waiting. And every so often, encouraging customers that this is a good time to depart, kind of pacing it out with the early morning crowds. We see a police carriage cross. She's letting them know when it's good and safe to leave and putting herself out in the cold to make it easier to do so.
This is the moment of truth, Dr. Aspectum. The moment when you ritually die and pass across the threshold as this ghost should have when they died. Despite everything you've been taught and everything you believe, perhaps, I don't know, you start to feel the tightening around your throat. You feel it. It is, I don't know, maybe it's psychosomatic. Maybe it's not real at all, but there's danger here. I want a single die roll. The night move with vitality. What do you afraid is going to happen if you fail right now?
For all of his scientific rigor, for all of his ration, we see that the fear in my eyes is clearly related to the fact that I am worried there is nothing on the other side, and that if I die, that is it.
That's worse than that. Well, I don't know how it's worse than that's really bad. I think you will die, and it's all true. I will ask you this, though, before you roll. Do you get a sense that in life the ghost was a man or a woman?
I get a sense that it was a woman.
Because of your condition, those were her favorites. And because you're looking at all of these beautiful objects that the woman loved in life, I'm putting you at disadvantage.
Damn you.
Roll with vitality.
Well, the good news is that makes it a 9 instead of a 10.
Oh, very good. I'm going to give you a bruised throat, but otherwise, please just, Langfisk, you describe the moment when we know the ghost is gone.
There's a moment where all of this, it's almost like it's snowing inside the room now. All this ice and cold air is just kicking up. And you can just see Dr. Aspectum, Knox, just almost just not even present, but just like it's not like he's somewhere else. It's just that like very locked in on this one specific thing. And it kicks up, and it's almost like a blizzard, a snowstorm in this room. And Langfist is calling out to the doctor. He's like, Doc, can you hear me? What's going? I can't see you, Doc. What's happening? And then there's just a clatter of these things as they had risen up in the air, almost in like a cyclone of snow. And like the baby doll breaks against the floor. The rattle is the last thing to fall. And it kind of, that rattle hits the ground and it breaks Knox's just like trance almost. But you can just see there's just this snow that's starting to melt and just turn this whole room into like a wet, dripping, dewy mess.
Lord Grey, the battle to keep Mr. Miller under control is going to scar your reflection. Your masterwork is going to suffer because of your presence here in this place. We'll talk about that next time. But what I want to know from Mr. Miller is, Mr. Miller, you sense something about Lord Grey that is either drawing and dampening the curse, like it's drawing it away from you, it's making you transform back, or it's making the curse more painful. Which is it?
It's more painful.
What do you feel?
I feel like I'm being set on fire. Like I'm headed into hell.
We will have the morning scene in the day phase first thing with Lord Grey and Mr. Miller post this. But for now, that wraps our night phase. Let's go to the dawn. A threat was resolved, so we will collect rewards. Let's go ahead and do that now really quickly. I will. Oops. Oh, darn it. Hold on. Okay. Rewards. I'm going to click this and drop it into, if I can drop it into this chat, I will for all of you. Oh, that's gigantic. That's not what we want. Okay.
400 gold pieces. Wow.
I'll put it in Discord. Hold on. I'm being hoisted by my own petard right now because I can't see my keys because of the darkness. So, the perils of actual play. Because you completed the St. James's Street Ghost, you get rewards. You have 6 options here. You each get to pick one thing. The options are a jar of ectoplasm, add it to your personal quarters, a mirror that always shows a reflection of the St. James's Street Ghost. If you had marked the Cosmic Passage, you could unmark it. I don't know if anybody did. Did you?
Yeah, of course. I'm a notorious card from Brindlewood power gamer playing the Mother, meaning that I could increase my sensitivity by 1 without any sort of negative effect on my reason. Why would I not?
I know. So you could, if you want to take that one, you can unmark it and get to do it again. But you do have to explain why performing the quieting ritual is making you less attuned to the
No, I like
supernatural
this as a
world.
turn where I have been exposed to the spiritual world and more accepting of things.
Yeah,
so that is also one of the reasons I marked it. So
the other 3 options are a memento from the investigation. You ask another hunter to define it and then add it to your personal quarters. What does everybody want? We know what Tony's taking. What does everybody else want here?
I'm going to take a memento and ask Tony to describe it.
Oh, okay. I think you I mean, I know we're not there yet, but I really loved that dog scene. I do think that doll with the red ribbon around its throat makes its way
That's pretty
back
good.
to your
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's so thematic and symbolic of the whole thing.
I also did not take Unmark the Cosmic Passage just because I want the bonus and sensitivity. So
I think you get to keep the positive rewards.
do
right?
I? Oh, then I absolutely am.
Oh no, it says reverse any effects. No, you can't.
Reverse any effects.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
You just don't get the negative if you're the mother.
Yeah. But you would get to mark it again though for like just Janus Mask.
It's my first. It's my first mask.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Lord Grey, Rick. In that case, Knox, what are you gonna take? What are we all getting?
Yeah, I am gonna. I'll take a. I'll take a jar of ectoplasm.
Sounds good. Lord Grey.
I love mirrors. I think this one's neat. And they
you
broke
had a lot of
mine.
mirror stuff going on in your.
Yeah, and they
last
broke
session.
mine, so I get that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hopefully this mirror doesn't show your eyeball falling out.
It's just
We'll
the
see.
law. If I break a mirror in your household and I'm English royalty, then you have to give me a mirror.
Indeed. Rick, what do you want?
I'll take a memento, but I want to ask the chat what you guys got.
Oh, chat.
Great ask.
What is Rick Miller going to get from the St. James's Street Ghost as a memento? Chat, it can be something that's implied too. It doesn't have to be something we actually saw in the story. So
All right.
Well, while chat's doing that, I'm going to keep going with our next step here. Okay, so we collected rewards. Let's do Dawn questions. Now, I do want to point out here on this character keeper, you only have 5 XP boxes, but the most updated version of the Between, you actually need 6 to advance. And so what I want you to do is after you fill up all 5, you have to get another XP to unmark them, and then that will be 6. So everybody's getting credit for the first 2. Did the hunters answer a question, and did the hunters resolve the threat? Yes and yes. Let's do echoes in the night. We know Tony got an echo in the night.
Look, I did actual ones also too.
You did. I know. I was giving you a hard time in chat about that. I actually thought it was really cool. I thought it was really funny, and I liked it a lot. But the little conversation between the dock worker and the politician. But I picked up on the cold one too as well. B, did you get an echo in the night?
I tried with the guy in the shadow, and I think I tried something else. I can't remember. I got too distracted by all the other fun stuff.
So
that's up to you.
No, I think it's good. Wes,
Okay.
Did you get one?
Yeah, this is kind of a stretch, but it's there. But the guy in the corner with the pipe tobacco and the dog with the pleading eyes, and then the highborn lord approaching the man. The highborn lord being Lord Bastion Grey, and then the
wolf.
Being
Very good.
Yeah, the wolf.
Clever.
And then the guy with the pipe tobacco being the factotum, which during my mask of the unquiet had an Irish accent.
Very clever, very clever, very fun. Wow, look at you with all your layers, Wes Franks. I love it. Vyn, did you get an echo in the night?
I don't think so. I'm still very pointed about the dog with the sad eyes.
It was really good. Yeah. To be fair, you didn't have a full
personally.
narration on the echo in the night.
Yeah.
Or the unseen, and you were wolfing out as well. So I get it. Let's keep going. Okay, so we'll start with Rick. Rick, did you encourage a fellow hunter to let loose for a change?
No.
Did you use violence to solve a problem?
I did point a gun at a guy.
Oh, I'll take it because he responded that
Was
way.
that
right?
violent?
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, are you threatening me?" I'll do that. Love that. Langfisk, did you engage in a petty reprisal of someone who angered Lord Grey?
Well, nobody angered Lord Grey just yet, or maybe they did. But if they did, they have something coming, but not yet.
Did you subtly express sexual desire for your employer? Yes, you did. In the way you dressed them.
The very first thing I did.
Them. Yes, you did. Very good. Fantastic. Knox, did you dismiss the possibility of supernatural explanation despite everything you've experienced? Yes, you did. Did you put your hands in a pile of guts and love every moment of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You did. Yeah, with the body of the sailor.
Yeah.
Lord Grey, did you express a clear preference for the beautiful over the mundane?
I tried with the house. I don't know if that counted, but just being generally disgusted with the downstairs again. I think, but I've done it twice, so I don't think.
You got credit for that one. Yeah, I don't think you did it again.
Yeah, I don't think we need to look at that.
Did you appear in London society wearing risque or avant-garde fashion?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So you're at 5 XP then?
Yes, 5.
Okay, so you need one more to unmark. Okay, sounds good. All right, fantastic. Let's keep going here. We don't have any moves we need to do. We would resolve Janus Mask prompts that need to be resolved here, but I'm going to actually save that for the top of next session. I think that'd be fun to start with. If anybody owes Janus Mask, you can narrate those at the top of the next session. And in that case, I think we are good to go.
Also, what item then are you getting from the chat?
Oh yeah, what did chat give Rick?
Chat gave Rick a
Yeah,
few
what did the
things.
chat say?
I don't even did chat even.
There's a
we
few
got several
things.
things. Yeah.
There's a few things. The nail that scratched Langfisk, a soup recipe that is mostly onions, Irma's home address, and an invitation for a dinner for 2.
God, so many good ones.
And
her home address is 18 St. James's Street.
Yeah. And one of the items that you broke in the
find
room
her.
that you used to not break your teeth, like something you bit in the room, like a stick of wood that I locked you in.
Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, I like
yes.
that a lot.
So I
That's
think
really
that those
good.
are the.
Yeah.
That
What
is
do you
what the
think?
chat said.
What do you think, Rick?
Oh, yeah, those are all the tits. First of all, great job, everybody. I think I will take some splintered furniture
Mm-hmm.
from
I love it.
my rough night.
It's great. Love it.
Love it, love it, love it.
Chat wants us also to all know that they get XP for all their chat echoes also too. So y'all do level up also too. Go ahead and make a new chat move.
You definitely get stars, chat,
Yeah.
which we're about to do in a moment. Before we get to stars and wishes, though, we are actually streaming this session on Pi Day. I don't know if you all realize that or not, but today is Pi Day.
We did mention it when you on one of the first breaks while I was doing something. Yeah, but
it is Pi Day, and in honor of Pi Day, I would like to suggest that one of you, the next morning, I won't say who yet, is delivered a delicious meat pie. The top of the crust has a little pig stamped on it. Let's go to stars and wishes. Pie's delicious. It has no unsavory ingredients whatsoever in it. Everyone should take a bite. Stars are things you enjoy. Wishes are things you hope to see next week. We can make this a pretty quick one since we're a little over time. But I'll just say I had a great session. Star for, in particular, I loved all of the Masks of the Unquiet were really, really good. Wes's was obviously like quite something, but everyone did a great job. They were all really, really good and told me a lot about your character, and so I really appreciated that. I particularly enjoyed. I enjoyed the little subtle reveal of Patrick being Patricia when they were young. That was actually really interesting because the man in the sun mask was kind of like taunting Rick a little bit, but I think he was taunting Rick because of Rick posing as a rough and tumble poor person, not a rich kid, right? But it actually makes that scene like a little, like really interesting, like with this other information in a different way, right? So yeah, it's kind of intriguing. But really, that was a fantastic scene too. Star for that whole scene between Rick and Man in the Sun Mask. I had a lot of fun playing that. It was really, really good. And I appreciate you, Vyn, for letting me be on my bullshit with the Man in the Sun Mask. So it's my favorite character.
So good.
It's my favorite character to play. So it's my favorite character to play, and I appreciate the leaning into it and rolling with it. So, but yeah, really, really great job overall. Just love the ritual at the end. That was really fantastic. I particularly like Tony's descriptions of walking through the stations. Those were really good. My main wish is I still want to see Giveth from Lord Grey, and I really want to see Lord Grey be the bad boy that he is. I want some bad boy Lord Grey.
I'm so excited to do some Giveth.
Yeah, do some bad things. And I'm also excited to see what it looks like when the masterwork is scarred. I'm really excited for that. And to see everyone's masks. Sorry, that was not a quick stars and wishes, but I was very pleased. It was a great session.
Yeah,
No.
I'll throw out like stars. I loved Wes counting it up. Like the group think getting really good is always one of my favorite things. Between like good group think is the best, bad group think is the worst. And it's been fun to see the overlapping and the near connections that a lot of the different paint the scene things have that are building on a motif while still adding something new. Other star was Vyn being here, having the full crew in for sure. It was also super fun. I love that so far I have gone to interpret bodies, not remembered who we're going, totally blown off and insulted the person I was with, and then had them actually do important distraction work or uncover actual deeper things while I was just digging through guts. It's been a lot of fun. And so, B, I know I said it last week, but like also your reactions add just a whole lot to it also. But I just also love, I think it's really hard for anyone who's not familiar with CFB to just lean into bad roles. And I love how you're thrilled no matter what that result is. Like, and you're just as excited for a great role as you are for a bad role. And that's such a hard place for a lot of players to get to. And I just love love seeing that for you. And
I
then
love bad rolls.
Wes, like that, man, like I don't know that anybody saw that extensively written like letter, and it was so good and such a like. I hope
Was that
with
off
no
the cuff?
pressure. I hope we see more of it because it felt there was a really grounding element to the character also too.
So it was off the cuff. I have a framework for all of my. I've never done this before, where I like have like going through. It's part of if you read the books, the CFB books, they say your homework as a player is to go through and look over
Yeah.
your masks. And most of the time, I say, yeah, I'll do it off the cuff and everything. But I was like, with this, I really want to go and approach, and I'm trying to do something I haven't done before with the CFB character. So I hope it like sticks and everything. And I hope there's some people that start catching little
loving it.
hints, or if you can
Yeah.
go back and catch some hints of what I'm trying to do.
Mhm.
But so I'm doing it as letters. They're letters to somebody, from the factotum to somebody else.
It's very mysterious because I thought I knew something about your character based off what we knew, but then I feel like there's a lot I don't know now, and so yeah, it's
It
really
was such a
interesting.
good, just broadening moment.
So I have a framework, and then so I can look at the prompts and be like, okay, I'm gonna fit this in, and then like throw some other stuff that happened during the session. But I'm pre-writing a lot of them, so yeah.
Wishes I get to level up. I'd wish to know from chat or from other folks what move they think I should take next. I know which one Jason's favorite move is for the mother, and I think I'm going to make that. I said I would make it my next move. Given how early I'm unlocking it, and I'm going to take a move, I'll probably do it next time. So I probably will not do night work this time. But if other people have one they love, toss it out.
I mean, everyone, if we have some hardcore CFB heads in the chat, they should know that the smart move is to advance one of your abilities, right? That is the power gamer move. But
I also did that this session also too, so it feels greedy at this point in time. Also, I'm a big fan of. I know which one I'm leaning towards. I love the mother's rapid ability to uncover lots of clues in a session, and so
yeah, and low stakes too, right?
Yeah,
Like the
that's-
mother. If there are bodies, the mother can grab the clues really good.
look,
Yeah,
if we
yeah.
want to build craft a little bit, that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah,
Too, but
absolutely. Other stars and wishes.
Oh, go ahead, Wes. I saw you.
Oh yeah, no. Real quick, you little fucking stinker, Bnar. You little fucking stinker. Every session, I'm just gonna have to deal with you doing some dumb shit as Lord Bastion Gray, and me not being there around there. So in fact, for my next advancement, I did take my person Friday. So once per session, I can show up at any place, any moment, and if there's something on hand in the scene that would be useful, I can add it to my personal quarters. Because of that. So star for you for being a little that is a great. The purpose of the employer for the factotum is to get themselves in fucking trouble, so the factotum has to like either deal with the repercussions or try to somehow fix things, which is great. It's a great way to play it, and it helps me level up more too, because there's a lot of Dawn questions related to that kind of stuff. So thank you for that. I'm so glad that Vyn's here. I'm so, like I love it. I can't wait to meet more of Rick and learn more about Rick. As somebody who's played the American, I love the American. It is probably my favorite playbook in the game. Damn, that's a cruel trick of fate there, brother. Throwing you that low roll on the first Dusk phase.
First quickening, boom. Yeah.
First quickening, boom, hits you like that. It takes me back. But no, I hope we see. Please do not get rid of Rick so early. I ran a game of the Between with Vyn, and Vyn was like, I'm just gonna let my character die. And just like within like 2 or 3 sessions, and I was like, that is a big move. It made sense. I was like, that is a big move though. So it worked. So I hope we get to see more of Rick and more of Vyn as well. God, Tony, I love playing CFB games with Tony because Tony is the power gamer. I played public access with Tony at the Writers Retreat, and Tony was like, let me fucking speed run this game. Let me turn all these keys.
I was trying to get to a white tape so bad, and I rolled a 12 plus on my last move, so I had no excuse to force myself to make Jason play a white tape on that character. I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
It was good though. It was fun.
It was fun.
It was good. It was fun.
I
but-
design games to be power games. I want you to go in
Yeah.
there and like it's like if you have the vessel and you don't mark the cosmic passage after your first literal roll, like you are doing it wrong. Like power game, you know. That's what I say.
Absolutely. But Tony, you're so like I'm so glad you went with the mother because you're doing such a fantastic job. Those little snippets of memory that we get with the collecting of the body parts, it feels so like earnest and reverential almost. And like you make those scenes feel like we're not supposed to see them.
And I
like,
love that the lurker was watching this one too.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
so good. Like
That was
that's
great.
I also Limehouse Lurker is one of my favorite. Like I love Creature Comorn Gardens, but like Limehouse Lurker is it feels so of London. Like the rest of them do too, but it has that certain like and it feels very like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen as well, like the comic books, not the movie, but like that moment was so cool. And just like Jason Starr for you for that describing of that round pale face, and then it just shrinking back. And then Tony holding out the candy, utilizing. I love when people utilize like clues or other things like that within like the narrative of like they can have more of a function of just a mechanic that you use to solve the problem. Like, and even if they've been marked, you can utilize them again within it. Like, it's such a creative thing to do. So like I loved seeing that. And like it makes such sense that Nox would have that interaction with the lurker as well. And I've never thought of putting the lurker in and also in Jenny's place before. Like I always have been like, that's it. When I've run that threat, I'm like, that's a safe place. I like Jenny's place. I was like, it's a safe place. Putting the lurker there is so it's good. It's so good. And it was just a good scene. Yeah. Also, Vyn, your Mask of the Unquiet was unsettling, deeply unsettling. It was really good. As somebody with religious trauma, especially like Deep South related religious trauma.
I know that hit really hard.
good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that hit really, really hard.
It was really good stuff. It was really good stuff. Yeah, no, I can't wait. But that's me.
I'm going to take my star and just sprinkle it just across everybody at the table. I have been so excited since last week, and I'm still just like buzzing now. I love Bastion so much. I feel bad for those roles, but they feel right. Like we've already said, it's hard to see a player like go with the punches and you take them enthusiastically, and it's just fantastic. Wes, you already know how I feel about you. I can't stand you. I don't know why I'm even doing this because you're just such a spectacular role player and storyteller, and it just shines and shows every time I have to put my unfortunate eyes on you. Jason, your NPC work is incredible. I love the sun guy. It was really creepy in like the best way. And just everybody feels so fleshed out and toned well. And Tony, I just love Nox. If this was a show, that would be my favorite character. I would like the fan edits, the fan art, just being so absent-minded and laser focused in a half second. It's just so fun to watch. Just everybody did a fantastic job. Wishes. Can't wait to do it again. Can't wait for next week.
Oh,
Yes. Oh my gosh. I will be quick because I could gush for 30 minutes. Oh my gosh, yeah. Stars to everybody. I'm echoing Vyn. Everybody's so fabulous. Jason, stars to getting real creepy this time. Multiple creepos, multiple spooky scenes, really amping it up. It was really, really cool. Fabulous juggling these multiple threats, and it feels all very intertwined. And I did love the Man in the Sun mask. That was very fun. Very, very fun. What a fun scene between you and Rick. Rick, I love the gun trick, Vyn, where like you spun it and then just pointed at his forehead
It was really
so,
good. Yeah.
so powerful. And the celestial bodies, physical bodies, like banter you two
so
just
good.
that I lost it. Oh my god, absolutely delightful. I'm so glad we got to meet Rick. It's hilarious that that the quickening happened so fast, like of all that's buck wild. And I'm very delighted to see how I want to see how this story goes now that it's been revealed so early. That's really, really cool. And my wish is to see what happens with that. That's so rad. Oh my God. And Tony, the heart scene of like with the marble heart to the exsanguinated heart, was so cinematic. That was so amazing. Oh my goodness. That just, it astounds me. It astounds me, your flashbacks. They're always so beautiful. And I don't remember which one said that, but they feel reverent and it feels very right for this character.
Thank you.
And I just love it so much. And Wes Langfisk, my man, I'm so glad that you're here to keep this terribly rolling dumb shit in line. And your mask of the unquiet, I thought you had pre-written that. I straight up thought you had. What a cool format. This is so fascinating. I'm already fascinated with this character, and now I'm like doubly so. What
You know what I really,
yeah,
if
go
I can
ahead.
just interject, you know what I
Please
really
do.
loved about that Mask of the Unquiet that you did, Wes? It was really more of like it was in the technique of the role play because I could see it because it's how I
Yes.
do, which is I could see you letting that moment like fill you up and take you over and drive your thinking and your words. And that's how I role play. And like I could see you doing it and I recognized it and it was really cool. It was super into it.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. All of that. All of that. I'm just obsessed with the way you're doing these masks. I'm so interested to see what you do with this because I know you're already good at masks. And now that you say you have this like technique that they're letters, who are they to? What is going on? I want to know so bad. I'm so interested. So my wishes is more backstory from everyone always, and Star for chat. Start for chat for all of these cool items and just being super rad and being
Yeah,
here.
chat came through tonight a big way.
Oh,
It was
you
really
came
cool.
through
Yeah.
tonight. Oh, I just love it. Stars to everyone. I love this.
Chat called out
Kisses.
the Celestial's body, which was so good.
Yes.
Gray and Lingfisk's relationship with each other. Said something about the doctor. It's whatever. It's fine. And so the Sun Mask interaction generally. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that was a fantastic session. Thank you all so much. Tony, if you want to take us out, I'm
So
good.
a couple things to know. I'll come down here so people can see my face again. Sorry, my back's been acting up this week and put me out of commission for a couple days, but I'm glad it was good for tonight. We're going to be doing a couple things. One of which is that next week we're going to have a live giveaway, and then we're going to have a giveaway following up. We may run it for 2 weeks. We may run it one live next week, and we may start this week. But next week, we're also going to ask folks to drop a clip or a timestamp to their favorite moment in one of the first 3 episodes. So if you are watching this later, or if you are joining us live next week, we'll have one copy of Brindlewood Bay and
Nephews in Peril.
to give away live, and then another copy we're going to give away on social media for folks who share their favorite moment from one of the first 3 episodes. We'll do some other giveaways along the way also too, but we want to kind of get things started. Probably about every 3 episodes, you'll see something come from either Gauntlet or Plus One to help kind of get you more excited and get things out there as well. So, with all that said, I'm sure we've got other cool stuff coming up. If you remember Zine Club, zines are shipping out this week to everybody. If you backed the Wassailing of Claus Manor, you also, Pledge Manager is going up this week also too. Lots of cool stuff coming from our side, but super excited to continue next week on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern with our full season of The Between, where we will be back for episode 3. Bye, everybody.